Purple dragons. All right. So here we are in Waterdeep, year of purple dragons, 1493, and we stand on the cusp of change. We are driving the change within the first few levels of Undermountain. We've caused a lot of upheaval, and we intend to cause even more. Because going through and displacing goblins and wizards and agents within the first few levels of Undermountain doesn't have a great deal of impact in the long term. It doesn't really mean much. Killing the Xanathar, a significant event. However, there's already been a few Xanathars, and the guild seems to survive the death of its patron over the centuries. But Skullport and the Drow and the Duergar, that is an entirely different level of intensity and a different level of threat. And so you're not really traipsing through Undermountain anymore, sword in one hand and torch in the other, as you kind of scour through the lower levels. You're past that, at least for now. Right now you're consolidating power in a very serious way. The Xanathar's lair is a majestic subterranean complex. It's so vast and purpose built that it almost requires an army to even justify using. And then there's Skullport, only a short walk away from that considerable lair. And Skullport, of course, stands on the verge of regeneration. It can't be understated how important a trade hub it was in olden days. There used to be a place called Mantol Dareth, or there still is Mantol Dareth, and Skullport. And between these two locations, they accounted for all of the interspecies trade that went on in the Underdark. Occasionally caravans go from city to city, but it's a very, very dangerous prospect. Getting there is hard, and getting a fair deal is harder. But Skullport and Mantol Dareth provided a kind of a place where everyone agreed to trade fairly, and that was lost with the destruction of the city. So it stands on the verge of returning to some semblance of those glory days. And you're the spearhead, or at least you're at the vanguard of this event. Some of you have old ties to the city, but all of you have an interest in stopping the powers that seek to dominate the area. So that's where we are, in Waterdeep, 1493 DR.
So I have a question about the Sargath. Being that that was one of the main trade hubs before it went down, would the Sargath go into the Dark Lake area where a lot of the rivers are? Is that like how the trade gets around? Probably a better way of wording this is it something that can be used to trade completely by water with places like Menzo and Gracklstug?
Short answer is no. But at least I'm not aware of any direct connection between this river and the Dark Lake, although it stands to reason that they might be connected. They are two very major bodies of water. But what you do know, at least, is that the Sargath is actually the Desarin. the main watercourse that runs through this part of the world. This one here, right next to Waterdeep, that's the Sargouth, but running underneath the ground. So it probably would be, but connected somehow. But it would be quite a complex saga to try to discover a route between Menzoberranzan, which is very far away, and the trade route, the trade city of Skullport. A great trade route, yeah, but only with potential. There's any old trade routes have been lost.
Need work to become a great trade route again, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Rediscovery.
Yeah, that really cements the idea in my head that I mentioned in the chat a few days ago about how getting Bragandarth back involved might be beneficial.
So, what are we doing now? Are we just back at the Troll Skull Manor?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would
And
with the group now, I guess? I don't know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's what I should say is that there's quite a lot of time passing at the moment, or as much time as you want to anyway. You don't have to be in any great rush to go anywhere. You do have this summons that you'll have to answer, presumably before you go down into Waterdeep. But this is a time when you can set your own pace, and so the story can unfold how you characters would like it to, whether it's you've only just emerged from Undermountain, or if several days have passed since then.
Alright, so have we received the summons, or is that something that we just know about out of character?
Yeah, I'll leave it for it out of character for now, but you will receive the summons, yeah. And
because I was intending on going to talking to Jalesta to correct things, but this is the thing, is that if we don't know about the summons in character, I'll probably still go talk to him anyway.
We'll give you the summons as the game starts. So but perhaps that can be how we initially start. We're in Troll Skull. All the characters are there, whether by chance or design, and a delivery comes from the Lords of Waterdeep. The seal has been cracked. The episode begins with you all sitting around a table looking down at this letter that you've already read or had read to you, and it basically says, we would like you to answer for the proposition that there shall be the reconstruction of criminal elements within Skullport, and then there's the quotes. What was the quote? Whether we will do anything about it or not, whether we like it or not.
Pretty please, I think was the quote.
I believe the quote, and the bit that got my hair rustled, was, "I'm not asking."
That's right. That's basically the single quote is specified out into why the summons has occurred, but the summons is for your what's the name of our group?
Silvercloaks.
The Silvercloaks. The Silvercloaks are summoned before the Lords of Waterdeep, and you shall present your case as to why you are directly involved in the ascension of an individual who claims to be above the law.
So, having received this letter, Lucius has just been sitting at a table, like staring directly at the middle of the table where the letter's now placed. Has not said a word yet, but it's got like that vein popping above the eye type of thing. Like,
But what did you guys do now? I swear, I left you for like 3 days to go get some meat. And you're starting up a crime organization or something?
Well, it's more like a year and 3 days, but no one's counting.
Well, no, I saw you like just last week.
Oh, right. That was you. I thought the polar bear looked familiar.
Just look confused at Zero, like.
Did someone forget to pay the guild fee? Is that what this is about?
no, this is definitely not about guild fee.
No, I'd say not.
Because if it is, I'm pretty sure it wasn't my job, so I can't be held responsible.
You can relax, Zevram. It's my fault.
Yay, it's not my fault.
I would like to know though what this is about. Reforming a criminal organization. I thought we agreed it would just be using a name, not well.
Well, maybe they misconstrued what we meant. That's the problem.
Yes, most likely. They probably think we intend to set the Xanathar Guild up exactly how it was. Maybe even worse than before.
We wouldn't do that. Right?
No, of course not.
Not willingly. I've been known to do stuff on accident on occasion.
Yes, well, let's not accidentally form a new criminal syndicate beneath the city. Drastia, I think it's time that you went more into detail in what you had in mind, and let me just preface this by saying I don't think it's a good idea that we use the Xanathar's name anymore after this.
Yes, I guess. So touchy about names. I suppose it doesn't have to be by the same name. It just seemed more convenient to appropriate it.
What about something similar? You know, recognizable, but still different, like
Pink
Xanadu.
Fuzzy Bunny.
I don't think that'll help, Zevram.
Yeah, I need to mute the bot. I can't take this conversation seriously with the song playing.
What's wrong
Have it again with heaven.
I've got the rhythm bot muted, so I can't actually hear it.
Oh, it's the Game of Thrones song, Maiden and the Honey and the Maiden. I can't remember the name. It's the fucking Maiden and the Bear. I can't remember the name of the song. It's like
Song about Cassia.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It sounds like it's not fitting for the moment.
It's about prostitutes, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's perfect.
yes.
I meant
We can
because
start
it was a girl and a bear, but anyway.
Think of it this way: instead of a different direction, we could take the Xanathars into just prostitution. That would be okay.
Quick question, Arctic. Was Keviak amongst those who received a summons? Because I think he literally just signed on.
It sounds like you literally just signed on, right?
Sucker.
That's bad timing, isn't it?
That's right. It was his idea.
You just buy
Look at
into a
that.
franchise, and the next day you're foreclosed.
The next day they're
Almost.
facing like an FCC investigation.
Almost immediately after he joined us, the corruption happened. It's all his fault.
All of a sudden, I have to appear before like Congress or some shit to
Wait,
explain myself.
That's exactly what's happening.
Didn't he used to work as a Xanathar? He was living in Underdark. It's Sculpt. He's the problem.
You're right, you know. This guy does seem like a likely criminal.
Look at me. I'm a fucking mastermind.
Yes. So, you're in trouble.
We need to work out what we're doing here before we go on. This is going to be a mess. Look, Adrastia, I do understand your intentions here, but I'm starting to think that, well, the Lord's Alliance aren't going to be very happy if this is set up in a way that one person's purely in control. I mean, if you look at Skullport from the point of view of, it could almost be counted as another ward or district of the city, because it's connected through the sewers with that staircase. It's very easy to get down there. There may be a bit of distance if you consider it's beneath the ground, but in reality, it's not that far separated from the city, and anyone taking control of that, the Master Lords might see it as a threat or a rival of sorts. It might be better if we just look at strengthening factions that we're on good terms with down there.
Yes, I have to agree. It seems like that's the way forward.
Well, look, perhaps we just need to word it in a way that makes sense to the Open Lord. I mean, perhaps I can use my title as the eyes of the Open Lord to make Laeral see your point of view. Explain to me what you want to do down there exactly.
Keep the goddamn drow out.
Yeah, except for this one.
Oh yeah, of course, no offense.
And this one, I point to myself.
Okay, Zephyrum. Okay. Just look at Zephyrum with like a sympathetic look, like, okay, Zephyrum, you're really a drow. You're really a drow. There.
Real drow.
I suppose the point is that I've been living down there for hundreds of years now. There's no one else who's a better guide to that particular area of the Underdark. I just figured if anybody was gonna set things right, take control, it'd be me.
Yes, but how do I put this? With your background and reputation, the righteous and noble lords of the city may not have the same opinion.
No, it seems that they don't.
I'm just saying, I mean, now, Zevram, I know this question's likely not to get a serious answer, but this sister of yours you've just met, what do you think about her?
Well, I think she's my sister, and she runs a tavern.
Okay, let me rephrase that. As much as you don't seem to have much social awareness, you've generally had a pretty good judge of character. About her personality, her character, what do you think?
I think that she's a kind soul trapped in a terrible place, and I think given half the chance, she could do something more with her life than run a rundown bar for criminals.
She could be the Xanathar.
Rolls my eyes again. Like, oh god. Okay, hear me out here. This is assuming that she doesn't want to leave the place. But you mentioned the Elistray worshippers temple.
Yes. Apparently, the building they were situated in there that used to be a temple, or at least a shrine to Elistray. But it was sacked a while ago, quite a while ago, and all the artifacts that were there are now missing. In fact, she wants me to find one of them. One of the drow has it. One of the Ovrindars.
All right. Well, what do you think about this? I'm thinking the worshippers of Elistray have always had a much kinder reputation up in the city. Perhaps if we contacted the Harpers and then we helped her to rebuild the Temple of Elistray, get the Harpers to move in, that might be a good start at a foundation that the Lords might be willing to work with. I mean, we can add anything on top of this, but it might be a start.
Well, I think that's a good idea. But, Adrustia, didn't you say you met some Alestraians in Waterdeep?
Oh yes, about a year ago. I still meet them from time to time.
Well, why don't you ask them for help? See if they're interested in perhaps setting up a base down there, perhaps to help turn any drow that would like to abandon Loth.
Well, it makes sense. Going to Skullport is a lot easier stepping stone than going up to the surface, that's for sure.
Right, it could be like Underdark Border Patrol,
Yes, I suppose so.
Under dark ice.
Alright, because the way I see this, if this turns from an individual's endeavor to an endeavor by the Harpers and an official church, it's something that comes across as much less threat. Another thought would be, Zevram, do you remember your friend, JB?
Yeah. I mean, we all kind of found out who he was, didn't we?
Yeah.
JB.
It's a bit of a long story, but he's a individual that has his finger in a lot of pies. Let's put it that way.
I love pie. Are they good
Cherry
pies? Or
pie.
like iffy pies? Or what kind of pies you talking about?
Pecan pies?
I don't know. I feel like he likes cream pies.
I take offense to that as a female tabaxi.
I'm completely confused. It goes right over my head.
Alright, well, anyway, it's from his character. Do you remember his purpose for being here in Waterdeep? He wanted to convince the Open Lord to make Luskan, or at least to champion for Luskan's cause in becoming a member of the Lord's Alliance. By the way, Arctic, have we heard any news about that over the past year?
Short answer is no way. But, I mean, it's a little more complex than that. At the end of the day, Luskan is two things. It's a pirate hovel, and it's a place that is ultimately controlled by the Arcane Brotherhood. Neither of which 90% of the Lord's Alliance, or the Lords of Waterdeep, those sort of people, 90% of the people who have any say in the matter think that that's a bad idea to let in pirates and a cabal of black mages.
Yeah.
Keep them at a distance.
Yeah, I just meant like there's been no celebration of, Luskan joins the Lord's Alliance, no big deal about it, which makes me assume it has not happened.
No, it doesn't seem like it's any more likely to happen than it was before.
Right. Well, he seemed to be trying to create some legitimacy in the matter. Zevram, do you think that he would have any interest in perhaps bringing legitimate trade to Skullport? His connections in that matter likely far outweigh any of ours.
We've only met the man a handful of times, and on those occasions you could tell how enigmatic he was. I can't really tell what he's thinking on any given day, but I can try and find him and talk to him.
It might be worth suggesting, not to place any bets on this or anything. I'm just thinking, I mean, with his purpose for coming to the city a previous occasion, if that fell through and hasn't happened, he may be looking for a new opportunity, a new avenue. And if we could establish some kind of legal trade through Skullport using the Sargath, I mean, the Durgar, the Drow, the Deep Gnomes, these are all people that should have things that would be valuable to the South.
Right. Well, being of the Drow persuasion himself, do you think he'd be up for fighting his own kind? I don't know.
He doesn't have to be involved with the fight against House Orvrindar, if that's what you're meaning. I'm just thinking, in the long term, if we've got control of Skullport, it might be worth getting someone involved that can actually negotiate and deal with these Underdark species. I don't really think me or you would do particularly well there, and Drastia seems to have spent most of her time in Skullport, not necessarily in any Drow city or anything of the sort.
I suppose.
Only when I was very young.
Well, I can find him. I can talk to him, but what is it I'm offering him exactly? Just so we're not confusing our goals here.
Maybe just tell him that we're looking at legitimizing, developing Skullport into something a bit more legitimate. Ask him if he's interested in that, and if possible, if there's a chance of being able to trade with any of the Underdark civilizations.
All right. Well, I'll put my I'll try to reach out to my contacts, see if I can't find him, if he's still in the city. What are the rest of you going to do?
I need to think of a solid plan to handle this summons.
I think me and Kavach and possibly Kaisha are headed back to Skullport now.
Quick thing before we start moving on stuff. Over the break, Keviak will have attempted to sell that 30-pound iron hag corpse you got. Can you price me for that real quick, Arctic?
Sure.
I think you should put it at the bar like a gargoyle.
Yeah, he'll try to pawn it as a decorative lawn hag.
Keeps evil spirits away.
And
People will give you 50 gold for it, straight up.
Put it out front of their shop
He'll
like a cigar Indian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, someone puts it by their fireplace, and a year and a day from now, the hag reverts to natural form and kidnaps their children. But that won't be your fault.
Not Keviak's problem.
That's yet another summons.
For the future. So you guys are going back to Skullport. That will be in defiance of the summons.
Well, are you coming with us, Keisha?
But wait, where are we going back to Skullport?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
No, I think them three are wanting to go back to Skullport.
Oh, okay, right.
They're
I was
craving action.
So we're
Funny.
splitting the party into Undermountain. That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Well,
I'm fine waiting another day or two, but
Hey, Billy, you could come too. You'd have a great time down there. Lots of things to torture.
look, I think we need to make some quick deals here, and perhaps it's a good idea to have. Perhaps if you could, Lucius, talk to Amara, see if she still has contacts in the Harpers, and we can perhaps set up a meeting with them. And Adrastia, if you might want to talk to the Ilistrians here in Waterdeep, see if they'd be willing to join the cause, and I'll try to find JB.
Sounds agreeable.
If we can do all of that before, before they send the guards for us, then all the better.
Yes, indeed.
Lucius is going to take the lazy route and just cast sending to Amara. Can you set up a meeting with Mert for us?
Yeah, she'll get back to you on that. Is the answer? But we'll get something set up. Don't worry.
Surprised she didn't bite his head off for not contacting her like in last year.
They might have
come out of nowhere and ask you for favors.
They might have had
sounds,
pancakes.
sounds like a 10-word, oh, can you set up a meeting with Mert for us? Receives like 6 sendings back, like, oh, how dare you fucking not talk to me for a year and then ask for a favor? How dare you?
And I will try to find JB if he's still in the city. I'll use my contact at the Yawning Portal, Mauser, if he's still around, and see if he can't help me find him.
Alright. I'll just get his little sheet made up. Won't take long. There he is. So you go out. Where are you specifically looking?
Well, I'll start with the Yawning Portal, and ask Mauser if he's heard anything on the street about JB's presence, in any of his alter egos.
He still has a presence down in that dock bar that they had. The place where everything is overpriced and unfriendly.
Oh, the Skewered Dragon.
That is it.
Right. Well, I'll head down there then and see if I can't set up a meeting.
You find yourself in the this unwelcoming bar with a very small common area and a range of mediocre drinks at an expensive price and very little food available. But the main feature of the bar is not the common areas, but the booths. There are an entire wall lined with private little booths that are not quite so private that people can't look in if they try, but they're quiet enough that as long as you keep your voice low, your voice shouldn't carry. You've got a meeting now with your old friend, JB Nevercott, and he wants to know what you brought to the table.
Well, long time no see, JB.
Welcome back. How you been doing?
Pretty good, actually. I've found out a bit more about my family, which is great, and I have you to thank for that, I think.
Did you now?
And, well, certain events have come to light, and, well, we're looking to set up shop in Skullport on a more permanent basis.
What kind of shop you gonna set up down in Skullport?
Well, I have a female friend, also drow. Also drow, I whisper. And, well, they have machinations to, slowly take over down there and turn it into a, well, I wouldn't say legitimate business, but a more legitimate business than currently is down there.
You sure this girl's got the balls it's gonna take to run a city like Skullport?
Well, that's where I was hoping you would come in. What we lack right now is a bit of, I guess, experience in the ways of the Underdark and Undermountain, and we were wondering if you would perhaps be interested in helping us down there. In exchange, I can put a good word in for you with the Open Lord, and perhaps if you're still interested in joining the Lord's Alliance, we can make strides towards that.
Now, how you gonna go about doing that, boy? Sounds like you're making promises you can't keep.
Well, I guess I sort of am. I just, I am working for the open lord. So, she at least trusts what I have to say somewhat, and I can vouch for you, and that surely counts for something, doesn't it?
Don't count for much, son. But I'll tell you what does count for much. So you got a little something that I might lack after all. But first, why don't you...
I sort of close my vest slightly, make sure no skin is showing.
Hang about. But I want to know what you and all your posse is going to do about some of them gangs that's already down there. Like, why, I can't imagine that you're going to play nicely with the Zentarum.
No. We're not. And, well, we're gonna remove them one way or another. And if that's by force, then that's the way it'll have to be. But if we can do it a bit easier, perhaps by muscling them out with business or some other form of enticement for them to leave.
What about them Temple of Loviatar? I know you got one of them, but I didn't take you for slavers.
We're not. We're not slavers.
Were you going to turn a blind eye to the slave trade? Is that your plan?
I think we'll put a stop to that as soon as possible, but...
yes. Boy, how are you going to put a stop to the slave trade when that's what Skullport's all about? Why, you can't be in bed with Leviatar if you ain't willing to play your games.
Well, I suppose I could ask Aldrich and see if he could perhaps have some sway down there. I know he had good relations with one particular lieutenant down there. Perhaps we can get them to agree to something. Not slavery, but something else.
Well, I think I'll leave that in your hands, boy. Religion never was my suit. But I do have to ask, whose side you really on? You say you're working for a drow matron? That mean this is house business?
No. Adrasti is not a matron. She's a bounty hunter. At least I think she is.
She's a woman, right?
I haven't personally checked, but outward appearances would say so.
And she gonna take over a city? That makes her a matron or a queen.
I suppose it would, in a way.
Sounds like house business to me. Now, why would I want to go interfering with house business?
Because you know how to play the game?
Unless it was a house I like. Ain't many houses I like, that's the problem here. And he strokes you on your shoulder.
Well, what houses do you like?
Well, don't really like Vrindar so much. What other options are there? I ain't got much of an idea of what's on the table.
I sort of squint and slowly say, House Tekkajuas?
Oh, you gonna marry her? Why, that's just splendid.
Oh, well, maybe an honorary. Maybe I can make her an honorary member without, marrying her.
Well, I must say it must be true love if she's willing to dilute her blood and make mongrel men like that. That is an honor indeed.
Didn't need to put it that way.
No offense.
Offense taken. Look, but I'll have to talk to her more about this. But if I can, what would it take for you to join us?
Tell you what. If I could see Skullport ruled by House Tekandus reborn, why, I would want a part of that. I would want some grand title like maybe Lord of Skull Island or Master of Trade. What do you think of that?
I think those are quite possible. I'm sure we could work something out. I'd be happy for you to be Master of Trade. That sounds amicable.
Well, this has been a more fruitful afternoon than I had anticipated. I do hope that you speak with the authority of your posse.
Yes, I will. And
Then let's make it a deal. And he offers you his hand.
I take his
Master
hand.
of Trade in the city of Skullport. You got Brigand Arthur on your side now, boy. You can't fail.
Excellent. I look forward to doing business with you in the future.
We'll keep them other houses out, and he'll be taking to us all the way. And he winks.
I wink back and give him the finger crossbows.
Yeah, he gives you the freaking crossbow too. Yeah. Only he's a magnum, she's a pistol.
Oh, just had to one up me.
That's right.
What's the difference?
That's the difference. Like a
Ah. Then what?
Oh, that's right. Because he actually has firearms.
Yeah, he actually has.
Alright.
Well, pleasure speaking with you again. Until next time.
Can't wait. Hey, and good luck with married life. It can real change a woman.
I just gulp real hard and give him a nod. Yep. Rush out of there. Oh, fuck. What did I just promise?
I think you're hitched.
I can't wait until he tells Adrastia that. Or he doesn't, and Jalaxel tells her that.
Can I be the godmother?
Did you just get literally Texas weddinged?
No. He's starting a Texas wedding.
I'm gonna have a shotgun wedding.
I have to say, he's my favorite goddamn NPC in this campaign. I'm glad that he's getting brought back in.
Alright, well, I'll let other
we
people
should
do
start planning
stuff.
the wedding.
As I plan to formulate how I'm going to word this. Party.
I guess we're all waiting around the table giving you anxious looks as you return. Like, how'd it go, Zevram? How'd it go?
Oh,
Honeymoon.
well, I met JB. He's interested. That's good news, right? Yes, that great news, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think
that actually.
I think that's all we need to know. Great. Moving on.
What are you hiding, Zevram?
I'm not hiding.
In your pocket.
I'm not hiding anything. As my eye begins to twitch.
Zevram, do you remember what I normally do when someone lies to me?
You buy them a nice steak dinner?
No, I use my magic to make them tell the truth. Now, we're friends here. I don't want to have to do that to you, Zephyr.
Look, I may have promised certain things for his aid. One being that he would like to become the master of trade and or Skull Island. And he said that he would love to see Skullport reborn under the name of House Tickenjuice.
I'll kind of roll my eyes like, of course. That's what you're expecting, Zevram, but it's not actually as bad as I was kind of anticipating you to come back with.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last bit. Could you say that again? House what now?
House Tickenjuice.
House Tickenjuice. You didn't mention my name in there at all? No?
I did mention I did mention your name to him. Unfortunately, he's under the impression that you and I are going to be
Think carefully before you finish that sentence.
I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in further. I've almost got my head on the table.
I sort of may have given him the impression that you and I are going to get married.
Yay! I cheer and run around the room.
Oh, what?
Ding, 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 ding,
Let's
ding.
get this bar spruced up.
Lucius's head just poof on the table. Like, what?
I don't know how the conversation ended up there, but once it was there, I didn't know how to answer him, but I felt like it was what he wanted to hear, and so I just said it, and now he thinks that you and I are going to get married, and that
Kaisha, that means me and you are going to be bridesmaids.
Eldritch is going to be a master of ceremonies.
Oh my god, he'd marry you with whips and chains.
Can Bjorn be the ring bearer?
Oh, please.
Dusty, I obviously don't expect you to marry me as much as I'm sure you want to, but it doesn't have to be an actual wedding, right? We could just say that you and I are part of the same house.
Absolutely not.
Oh, living in sin. Oh, it's even better.
And why aren't they taking the female's name? This is unusual to say the least.
Could I perhaps come up with a better suggestion, Zephyr? One you probably should have thought of yourself.
Yes, please do, Lucius, before I kill him.
Well, you'll get insurance money after you marry him, though.
Wouldn't it be better if your sister was the matriarch of the house? You know, drow standards and customs and stuff.
I'm not going to marry my sister.
No! Zephyr! No!
I don't see anything wrong.
No!
Oh, fine. It's okay in drow society.
Keeps the blood pure, sort of. I mean, keeps the tainted blood pure-ish, right?
No, okay, well, let me put it like this, Zevram. It may not be possible in the short term, but in the long term, there are ways that we could turn you and your sister into full-blooded drow.
What?
How? Are you going to go back in time? I don't understand how that's a possibility.
Do I really need to explain the details of you, Zevram? I'm a fucking wizard.
Yes.
I'm a fucking wizard. Like, that's like, come on, man. Just believe what I say. I'm a fucking wizard.
So what?
Good point.
You're going to just what? Take the human out of me?
Yes.
You could do that?
Yes, it can be done. I mean, look at Sanj. Someone turned a frog into a human.
Where is
Oh
Sans?
no! Oh no!
Well, I don't know why I would want to do that, though. I'm happy with the person I am.
I'm just saying, Zevram, that if you want to refound your drow house and have it recognized by the other drow, you're gonna have to, well, do something about this. And I'll kind of just wave my hand.
All right. Well, look. Be that as it may, I at least have JB on the table. He's there, willing to help. It just requires a bit of finagling. And
Yeah, look, I don't think there's that much of an issue with his conditions, honestly. It may take some convincing with the Open Lord, but
there is one thing. How do we put an end to the slave trade down there? He did mention something about the Leviatharans, being a prominent faction down there.
well, Aldrich, this depends entirely on you. As it is now, the temple down there. Look, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on your religion, but I would assume as an outsider that for them to be working with the Zentarum and the Castellantas, which we know to be devil worshippers, it kind of seems like they're putting faith aside in order to make profits. What's your view on this?
Well, exactly. Are you asking against slavery?
I'm asking your views on the temple as a whole and perhaps about slavery as well.
My views on the temple as a whole. I would say that I would like to do whatever benefits my temple to my goddess. As far as slavery goes, it concern me one way or the other.
So that means you could be against it and be alright with that.
I'm not against it, but I'm not necessarily willing slaves. Everyone call them subs.
So there's no real reason for forced slavery, is what you're saying.
I mean, forced slavery. It's just natural. There's many places in the world that has forced slavery. Cities were built on the blood of slaves, so I'm against it, Dorf.
Well, how about this, Aldrich? If you can convince the people down there to stay away from the slaving side of your god and turn them more towards the hedonistic part of your god, would that be a start?
Well, I think the point Zevram's trying to make is slavery really a part of Leviathar's tenets? I mean, this is what I mean. It seems like the temple, as it is now, is foregoing faith in order to make some gold, some quick money.
Slavery isn't a part of my faith. It's inflicting pain during pain itself. But I feel if you are weak enough to become shackled and in servitude against your will, deserving such place of could I go against my own temple and convince him not to do slavery? Or I'm not sure. Don't have the reputation.
I think this probably calls for an out of question character here, Arctic.
An
Yeah.
an out of
Absolutely.
character question.
So-
Out of character question. Muddle headed at the moment. So, is this something that, if we were to try and push for him to put an end to this, would it be going against his religion, or would it be going against the temple?
It's time for a short cutscene, or a kind of Aldrich has a little anime moment where we look into his eyes and we see from a different angle things that have happened in the past. This is the story of the Temple of Leviathan, of the House of Pain here within Waterdeep. There was a guy called Hleth Vargi, and Hleth Vargi was a necromancer. And why a necromancer was so dedicated to the Temple of Leviathan, it doesn't matter, he was. And he was so dedicated that he built this place. He built the House of Pain. He built it like 150 years ago. And guess what? He's the necromancer, so 150 years, they live that long, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Hleth was in control of the House of Pain, and he hoped to restore it. The spell plague was over, and Waterdeep was in recovery, and Hleth saw in this an opportunity to make it better than it ever was. But then Shina Dalaris came along, a queen from Dambrath, exiled due to some political problems down there. She brought her entourage up here to Waterdeep, one of the only places, two of the only temples in the world, organised temples of Leviathan are in Dambrath, and here in Waterdeep in the House of Pain. And so when she was exiled from Dambrath, she came up here and found Hleth Vargi, and they had some pretty bad issues. However it happened, she somehow managed to defeat this necromancer and drive him into Undermountain, which left her in control. And so just as the House of Pain was starting to reform and reorganize, it began. It was taken over by these women from Dambrath. They then established good relations with a particular group that I think Aldrich already knows about, and that really cemented their position here within Waterdeep as a semi-legitimate organisation. So you've probably had some issues with these priestesses, because you know them quite well. You worship alongside them. But they're not the kind of people that share power. And so any attempt that you might have made to have any authority within the House of Pain has been completely stifled. Because this is their show, and you can go and run the Waterdeep chapter. Go back upstairs, back up into the sunshine, back up into the attic of your parents' place, and go with dwarves. That's what you're good for. This is our temple. Don't interfere.
I guess so. I would take it as maybe my character probably believes that he's just living by the true tenets of Leviathan, and they are kind of more on the money side, a power side of things, instead of actually worshipping the goddess.
Probably fair. Your faith is probably much greater than theirs. That's probably fair.
So I wouldn't care. My character wouldn't care if slavery was stopped down in Skullport, but as far as influencing other people to the other Leviathans to stop it, I don't know.
So if you try to stop the slave trade, he's unlikely to stand in your way. Whereas the temple as it currently is being led is unlikely to give it up.
So the way I see it, we slowly dismantle all the elements that are supporting Skullport and put our own in place. Is that sort of what we're going for?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. My main concern I've had is like, it kind of answers the question. Aldrich has his faith is more firm than theirs. What's Aldrich's take going to be if we end up directly opposed to them? Like, if it comes to the point where we are about to fight against the temple, is that something that Aldrich will just seeing it as, maybe this is a consequence of their own decisions and has nothing to do with the faith, or will he have doubts if we were to be fighting against the temple, or...
Well, I think what you just said there was like he's more devout than they are, or in his view he is, right? So if he might see it as cleansing, the heretics from the church, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting towards. Like, Bill, how do you see this playing out? Like, would you be fine with taking the angle of, if we end up fighting against them directly, it's just a cleansing of the church that needs to be built again from the bottom and up, or?
It depends on the manner of how we, I guess, go about it, because in terms of if it gets my character into a better position of power, since it's in an iron grip of the people that are just holding it and not to share, then I could see Aldrich, trying to work his way up that way through his own devices, but not like abruptly attack Leviathans like for no reason.
Well, I think you would certainly put yourself in a position of power by, ousting the current hierarchy. I mean, that's usually how evil churches, go through their hierarchy. There's always some ambitious person in the lower ranks who wants to...
Isn't that how they did it? That's how they did it, so they set a precedence. That's how you change the leadership. It's by violent revolution.
Okay. I mean, we're getting to what I want to suggest here. Let me just put it out there now. If we were to not attack the lower level members of the church, the regular believers and stuff, but if we were to surgically assassinate the ones that are in charge of the slave trade, would Aldrich have an objection with that if he's going to be taking their place? So I'm not talking about attacking the temple and killing everyone that's in it, just this group of priestesses that have come from elsewhere and taken over.
I would see it as, if they're not strong enough to the power defend us against it, then they are not deserving of the title.
Right, so it's just like a leadership challenge, and if they fail, then you are the rightful leader.
Yeah, and then I can take over the slave trade.
Then you get to pick the best slaves.
And they say, oh fuck, we forgot to convince him that it's a bad idea to have the slave trade going before we put him in charge of... Aldrich, what? Alright, so I mean, that solves our problem with the Temple of Leviathan then.
Let's go under the assumption that he is not going to keep the slave trade going, but anyway, we'll get to that when we come to it.
So I guess we've pegged our solution there is that we'll eliminate the scourge within the Church of Leviathan and put our pony-loving Aldrich in charge. and it'll all be sunshine and daisies from there.
Now, Adrastia, do you plan to get the Alistrians involved or not?
Yes, certainly. I don't see why not.
All right. Well, I think we have half a plan here and half of something we can present to the Open Lord.
When you guys said, though, that you were going to set up churches for Elistre, right? Or temple?
A church. There's a dilapidated temple down there that I believe my sister just wants to sort of not run but restore to a certain point.
Because I will definitely be against that.
Gotta have that religious monopoly.
Yeah, I mean that's completely fair.
Well, I mean,
in character.
We can approach this from the point of view of, it's a drow god. It's not one you'll be competing with.
They're usually like exclusive clergy. I want to say, or clientele.
Yeah, 90% of the congregation of the Church of Elistre is female drow that have left society and don't want to worship Lolth anymore.
That means that you'll have 99 worshippers instead of 100. 100, one less soul. I shouldn't make it worse.
Stop it, Arctic. Stop it.
Arctic is like, have to stir the pot.
It must make conflict.
Leave the button alone.
Alright, well, I mean, if we... how do we do this in a way that won't...
Yeah, we're in a bit of a sticky situation here.
Not necessarily. I mean, let's put it like this, Aldrich. If we do this, you'll be in charge of the Church of Leviathan in Waterdeep and in Skullport. I mean, the best way to describe this thing with Zevram's sister really is it seems more of a shrine than even a temple. So
the House of Pain is also on the first level of Undermountain. It's not down in the Sargath level or in Skullport. So you could definitely open up a temple down there. That's another story. But the actual temple that is dedicated to Leviathan is on the first level of Undermountain. So you might use that as a base from which to be the lord of the first level or even the first two levels of Undermountain. If you would be willing to, base yourself there rather than in Skullport.
Yeah, that could work.
I mean, the competition between the Church of Elistre and the Church of Leviathan would be very, very weak. I mean, if it was a different god, it would very much be a case of competing against each other. But
I just meant more in a sense of, like, if you guys were, doing whatever to, like, help the Church of Elistre, like donating money or helping build it up or anything like that.
You get jealous.
Aldrich is gonna stick his fingers down his throat and puke on the shrine and take a big dump on it.
That's my gold bag, Daddy.
I mean, okay, let's put it. For every coin we spend on the Church of Elistre, we'll send Zevram to the Temple of Pain twice.
By what?
What?
That sounds like a lot.
You're assuming that Lucius was planning on spending gold on them and not just helping them.
Yeah, I mean, the way I imagine the Alistrian church gets involved is that they don't have so much of a church down there as they do like an outpost for people to come up to the surface, right?
Yeah.
That's how I imagine it. If that's how it turns out, if it turns out differently, then it turns out.
It would be like a the same way that a what's the word embassy works.
It's the drow
when someone's seeking Well, an embassy, in the same way that if someone's seeking refuge in a country, they go to the embassy and apply for asylum status. Like, it'd be like a embassy of sorts for the Temple of Elistray. Drow from the Underdark can flee to Skullport, go to the Shrine of Elistray, and they'll help them come up to the surface safely.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that's what I imagine. It doesn't have to be like a wholly religious thing. It can just be an avenue for Drow.
Yeah.
That's kind of up to your sister, though, isn't it?
I mean, she said to him that she wants to restore the shrine and everything.
It'll restore some of the artifacts that were stolen, at least. Whether she meant, like, restore the temple to what it was, I don't know.
Alright.
We're all making power plays in our own way.
I'm not.
Except for me and the cat. And the new guy who
Not
I don't know
interested.
who you are. Sorry.
He's Sanja's muscle. He's a former Zentarum mercenary dwarf barbarian that's worked with Sanj before.
Cool.
You want to become, what was it, a hidden lord? I want to become a mayor or something, or ruler of Skullport. Aldrich wants to become a supreme high priest of Viatar, and we all have these ambitions.
Yeah, high level games. You got to make it all work.
Yeah,
And
it's just
urban adventures where there's so much going on.
how do we all achieve what we want without stepping on each other's toes? That's the issue.
I think we got a solution here, though.
You cooperate, yeah. You be like a government, and you just give a little and take a little and compromise a little.
Compromise everywhere.
Yeah.
So speaking of, are you guys going to talk to the Harpers and the church?
Well, the Harpers may not be something we speak to before the summons.
Okay.
Because I did contact Amara, but she's like, we'll work something out. You got to keep in mind that Mert, while he may have a reputation of not being involved too much, as far as I'm aware, he is still a hidden lord. So he may everyone thinks he's a hidden lord. I'm pretty sure I think someone mentioned it to him when we spoke to him ages ago. I can't remember anyway. But yeah, so he might know about all of this already, and he may refuse to meet with us before we go to the summons, because he might be there.
Okay, well, do we want to get a story straight before we head to the palace?
Yeah, we probably should before.
So
Probably should before we have to, make it up on the spot.
Alright, yeah. So, Adrastia's evil dark elf blood was boiling over, and the idea of a criminal syndicate is all completely on her, and Lucius has no blame in that whatsoever. Okay, now what's the actual story going to be?
Let's make the drow hang!
Hang the drow.
I accept full responsibility for what I said.
Alright.
Keviak is 1000% down with that plan.
I love this party!
So yeah, what I'm thinking is we'll go in there, and I'll point it out there, Adrastia got overly excited, and I regret introducing her to Jalesta. That said, something does need to be done about Skullport, and then I will mention our ideas about getting the Harpers, Church of Elistray, involved. Basically, I'm going to take the approach that we need to fill it up with people that aren't going to hurt the city, because the Drow and the Duergar are definitely likely to hurt the city eventually.
maybe not mention JB and just say we have other interested parties.
No, I actually think it is important to mention him here.
Okay.
Because it opens up the possibility of trade with the rest of the Underdark, making Skullport into a somewhat legitimate thing and not just a criminal underbelly. And I mean, Laeral's view on Jalaxel may not be particularly great, but they don't appear to be on horrible terms with each other. Jalaxel was here in the first place to try and retrieve the gold that we were also after, so that he could try and present that to Laeral as
I think I'll play it off as JB doing something for the city in the hopes that, to build good relations with the city, right?
Yeah, he wants good relations with the city here, but it's also something that can be incredibly beneficial for him. And the important part here is that it might not necessarily work without someone of his influence involved, because it would be, I would say, near impossible. Or even if it wasn't near impossible, it is something we would spend the next 6 or 7 levels doing if we wanted to try and establish trade with the Underdark. Because it would mean... Actually, no, I'm going to take that back and say it would be impossible. Because thinking about it, that would mean we would have to travel to places like Menzoberran's and Gracklestug and all this. And yeah, that would not go well. I don't think that would go well for a bunch of surface dwellers. So his involvement is, I would say, necessary if we want Skullport to become something beneficial to the city, rather than just like a blister on the under.
Sure. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just trying to keep it focused. Are we meeting with anyone else, or are you're at this stage? You're trying to work out exactly what your story is, right? You don't. Is that correct?
Well, I don't want another case of we'll pitch.
What about everyone else? What is that? What you're trying to achieve right now?
I think everyone's here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Unless did No.
I'm just asking everyone else's opinion, basically.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you're is that what we're working out exactly what we're going to be doing in Skullport? I don't know. I should be a bit quiet. I think
I don't care.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm trying to keep it focused, I guess, is what I'm trying to do. So that you don't spend. We don't spend too much time doing nothing. That's out of character. So
I think we're ready to go see the Open Lord now and just explain our position a bit clearer.
All right.
Yeah. In a nutshell, my goal was to both fulfill an ambition of claiming ownership and claiming rulership of Skullport, and also benefiting Waterdeep at the same time. And the solution I proposed was just my Underdark, cutthroat way of doing it, which I believe to be the best way at the time.
Cool. Do you see the other Illustrian girls before you see the lords?
Yeah, I'd imagine I'd get them on board to see if they're interested in setting up some sort of presence down there.
All right. You meet with the 3 drow of the city, and so I guess you present with them your basic proposal, and their main interest in this is, I guess, threefold. First of all, they want to re-establish the shrine that lies within Skullport itself, the small shrine to their god. Second, they have an interest in making sure that the priestesses of Loth are stopped. They see it as their responsibility, as their fight. Whatever Loth is doing to harm Waterdeep is something that they want to help prevent as well. And finally, they have discovered the location of the old promenade of Illustre, the promenade of the Dark Maiden, it was called. It was the largest temple to Illustre anywhere, perhaps the largest in all of Faerun. And it lies within the broader Undermountain complex to the northeast of Skullport on the Sargath level. And they've discovered its location, but they haven't managed to reclaim it. It's filled with countless dangers, and they haven't yet taken it. But that's an objective that they want to be a part of at some stage in the future, if you're interested in that. As for your personal ambition of taking over Skullport, better you than anyone else.
My thoughts exactly. But yeah, about reclaiming your lost temple, we can definitely make time for that.
Excellent. And the moon shall rise again.
Mm-hmm. Indeed it shall.
All right. Meeting with the lords.
Yeah, I feel like this is like going to court and like I'm the defendant and Lucius is my lawyer.
Before we go in
He's
there,
not going to let me say anything.
I'm going to 100% firmly put the foot down that even if you still have the ambition to become the sole ruler of Skullport, you do not mention that here. Okay?
Okay.
You do not mention it. That is something you can work towards in the future. It is not something we start with. We have to emphasize here that this is something that we want to prompt a heap of different factions into doing, not have one person take control of it all.
Well, by take control, I mean more of like an arbitrator between the factions. If that sounds better.
For the time being, let us just focus on reclaiming the city and having the party as a whole be there. And then after the fact, once we've already got it all started and have permission and we're working with the city, then you can put any other plans in motion.
Fine.
All right.
All right. How do you arrive at the? I think it's the Palace of Waterdeep. Where all this goes down, I think.
With a swagger.
Riding a fucking bear.
Yeah, that's the Waterdeepian entry right there. We're riding a bear.
So I believe Purgron's palace is like the place where the Open Lord sits, and Castle Waterdeep is more like a prison dungeon.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Castle
right.
Waterdeep is a massive prison. It's like the Alcatraz kind of thing. It's big prison. It's where all the prisoners are kept. And Pagarion's palace is where the actual Open Lord stays.
It's like the seat of government.
Yeah.
Alright, Paragon's Palace down here. Alright, so you're right in the shadow of Mount Waterdeep, towering above the city, higher than any of the wizards' towers or merchant guilds that adorn the skyline at the grandest city of splendors. You pass Agarion's Tower, home to the most powerful wizard who is responsible for modern Waterdeep. He founded the Hidden Lord system as we know it, and many of the cultural precedents were set by him. And the Palace of Waterdeep is grand and beautiful, and only completed shortly before the spell plague rocked it. It was magnificent and represents the architecture of the time, which was extravagant. Everyone was very wealthy. Waterdeep was unquestionably the most powerful city in the northern Sword Coast, and so the Paragon's Palace is as grand as any dwarven dwelling, with vaulting chambers and massive columns of stone and marble. All of the art decorating it from thousands of years of history, with gifts from all over the world, providing a showcase of cultural artifacts from Faerun, from Toril, and beyond. But you've passed all that, and you've gone through main chambers and secret chambers, and you've passed halberdiers and swordsmen and bureaucrats and mage rights and magisters. And now you stand in the chamber of the Hidden Lords themselves. You are down on a stone floor, richly decorated with the sigil of Waterdeep, the moon over water, and you are looking up at 21 individuals, 20 of which are, or actually only 19 individuals, but we'll get to that soon. But you're looking at a chorus of powerful figures, all dressed identically, all appearing identically, none taller or shorter, none thinner or fatter than any of the others, and all dressed in the same arcane mask and complex set of robes, all except for Laeral Silverhand, the Open Lord of Waterdeep, and a personal companion of some of these individuals from time to time. You're much further down on the floor. They're much higher up, like the top of some grand pipe organ, looking down upon you. And the laws of Waterdeep are interesting, unique, and established by Agarion, whose tower was outside. There's a timer is given, an hourglass, and or not an hourglass, but a timer, a candle. That's what it is. It's a candle. A candle burns. So a candle is set and lit when you enter, and you have until the end of that candle burns to state your case. And when the candle is finished burning, the lords will give you no more time, and their judgment shall be cast. The candle is set. You enter, the doors close, and the lords look down upon you. 19 lords. Laeral in the center, 10 on her right, 8 on her left, and 2 seats that remain empty.
Is there a big fat lord?
They all look identical in this instance. Last time you were here, there was some clear delineations between size, weight. This time, no. This time they look identical.
Can we tell how long the candle is?
Make an Arcana check.
I'm good at these.
As long as they damn well like.
Oh, it's one of them.
She lights it. She uses Firebolt, a traditional cantrip known by many apprentice wizards to light the candle. And your time begins.
They're not going to ask any questions or anything?
They just stand there in silence.
Awkward.
I take a nap.
Skullport is a necessary. Skullport is a necessary evil, the Open Lord says. It is a commercial center, but an important part of Waterdeep's heritage, geography, and culture. The resources that would be involved to take such a place would be insurmountable and not worth the effort. And yet it seems that there are still some who are determined to take it, no matter the cost, no matter the risk.
I would ask, does the Open Lord not care that the Drow are moving in, that the Durgar are moving in? We've already reported that the Drow have been kidnapping Waterhavian citizens to use as experiments and incubators to breed spiders.
She looks to her right and to her left and to her immediate left, the Lord there tilts his head towards her. She turns away from him and back to you. It is true, the drow must be stopped at all costs. It seems that there are no other force that truly could threaten our city to the degree that they could, with perhaps the exception of Mindflayer. No other race has any designs on controlling our city beyond Skullport. It is vital that the drow must be stopped.
That's exactly right. My companion overstepped when proposing an idea that they had, but the situation remains that something needs to be done. Just because Skullport has remained in a certain way for a long period of time doesn't mean that it is best left that way. I feel the present situation is a perfect example of this. The Drow seemingly unopposed with the death of a crime lord, the Xanathar. It's as if suggesting that things like this just need to be put up with if nothing's going to be done about it. And on the matter of Skullport being a necessary evil, I don't really agree with that. Now, this is something that, of course, we'd love to hear the input of the Open Lord and the Mass Lords themselves. But just among ourselves, we've been discussing what we could do here. And Skullport has potential to be beneficial to the city, and not just a area full of criminals that are running rampant. Do you happen to know that access to Skullport is as simple as a staircase starting in the sewers? For something so close, I don't think it should be just left to whatever happens.
She turns to her right, and to her immediate right, the Lord tilts their head towards the Open Lord, and she tilts it away again. I understand that that Skullport is already being governed by the Zentarum and the Temple of Leviathan. Why would it benefit Waterdeep to stir up this arrangement?
The temple, which is currently partaking in slavery, trading of slaves, many of which are kidnapped Waterhavian citizens.
If there is slavery going, it must be stopped immediately.
This is exactly my point. The Drow aren't the only issue in Skullport. Skullport exists. I've considered that it might be easier to just destroy the place, but I don't think that would even be possible. Even if the current Skullport was destroyed, something's going to happen. With Waterdeep sitting upon Undermountain and the Underdark as it does, we've discussed this matter, and perhaps there's a possibility of not pacifying the place entirely. I'm not sure that things would be so simple, but turning it into something that would be beneficial for the city. There are multiple groups that have shown interest in the place that don't necessarily need to be harmful towards Waterdeep. The Temple of Elistray is one large example. They have interest on Skullport as it will affect their religion, their beliefs, and I think that strengthening factions such as this in Skullport is something that not only will not harm the city, but could be beneficial in the long run.
Does anyone else have anything to say?
Aldrich will light a cigar and step forward and bow and say,
Light up the candle, like.
who else has gotten better results than us also. And if we could change Skullport, it'll be a great place to help Drow coming from the harsh place that they come from and converting into our ways, such as people like Adrastia. They're not used to the ways of the surface, so let's not be quick to judge her for the way she was speaking. And also, isn't Waterdeep a place of accepting of all races and monster kind?
She turns to some of the hidden lords to her right. It appears that they're having a debate of their own as multiple lean forward. And she listens psychically to what they have to say, and then turns back to the party. What if Skullport was heavily taxed, with the money going specifically to fund either the Navy or the military or mercenary companies? What if it was governed and taxed, with the taxation coming directly to Waterdeep? Yeah, everyone's been arrested.
We have not been arrested.
You've been summoned.
Summoned.
It's not arrested, it's different. It's just
They had us arrest ourselves.
It's like arrested, but with extra steps.
Exactly. But minus the step of handcuffs, which is nice. That's a nice.
That is nice. Yep.
Now
Aldrich would disagree.
it seems the Open Lord is coming around to my thoughts on the matter. Skullport is going to exist regardless of what we do. If it's destroyed, it's going to rebuild itself in one way or another. We've already seen that much with its destruction and reconstruction under the Xanathar. There's possibility for Skullport. This is a thought we've had recently, is that it sits on the River Sargath and it was used for trade with a lot of the Underdark species. And previously, a lot of this trade had been things that were harmful towards the city, contraband and slaves and the sort. But what if Skullport and the Sargath were potentially used to open up legitimate trade with some of these Underdark civilizations, things that could bring real profits and benefits towards the city as a whole?
The lords are interested. Yeah, she replies. The lords of Waterdeep are interested in seeing the prosperity of Skullport shared. It would seem to be a very difficult city to govern, however, and we would not want any potential ruler to act so autocratically that she might think that she can do it whether we like it or not.
I'm gonna visibly flinch when she says that and kind of stare daggers at Adrastia for a second, oh, of course not. As was mentioned before, Adrastia is not quite used to the ways of the surface, and momentarily reverted back into a way of speech that she was used to among the other denizens of the Underdark. It's definitely not what was intended from the very start.
Then how shall we gather this tax?
On that, is now a good time, Lucius? I'm not sure there'll ever be a good time. Hello, Overlord. Nice to see you again.
Indeed. Welcome to the chamber.
Yes, well, as Eyes of the Open Lord, the title you bestowed upon me, I have been doing my utmost diligence to see what's going on in the city, and well, I've met with a number of people that might be able to help us in this latest venture of ours down in Skullport. and I got to talking with a certain eye patch wearing individual you might be aware of, Jarl Axel, and he has offered his help in securing Skullport, with the stipulation that he would become the master of trade.
Several hidden lords stir uncomfortably, and the open lord herself seems to be lost for words momentarily.
I realize that this may come as a shock to people, but I've had a few dealings with Jarl Axel, and while he is a very secretive and ambiguous sort of entity, I think he wants to help the city. As hard as that might be to believe, I truly believe he wants to help the city, and in helping us retake, or in helping us take Skullport, all he asks is a position from which he might be able to conduct his business to the betterment of both parties.
And Lucius will kind of sigh a bit. As much as it may sound outrageous, I myself can't think of anyone else that would actually be capable of establishing the kind of trade that would bring enough tax to even be noticeable, let alone beneficial to the city. As it stands, he is likely the one person that can establish trade with some of the larger groups in the Underdark. Legitimate trade at that, not just the sort that was common in Skullport previously before the spell plague.
I am at a loss for words. I shall set the tax rate at 50%, and we shall use that money to pay for repairs to the navy, improvements into the infantry, and to equip adventurers to keep the Underdark and the streets of Skullport safe. I shall allow you to administer it how you see fit, though if Skullport becomes a problem, I will hold you personally responsible for its lack of governance, and you will be called to account.
That's fair. I think that's fair. That's fair, right? Is that fair?
Sure, Zevram.
About that tax rate, though, would you maybe 40%? Maybe.
When would we be taxed? Is it the moment we see income? Is it do we have time?
All transactions.
It's
40% sales tax.
This is an out of character question. Like, based on my knowledge as like coming from a merchant family, is that even practical?
No, it's like ridiculous. Tax rate tends to be about 10%.
They want us to fail.
Yeah, so it's setting it up for failure.
She agrees to 40%.
Oh fuck! I
give Lucas a double thumbs up, like yeah.
I'm just gonna kind of roll my eyes and wave my hand to Zephyr. I'm like, hey, you can whatever you want here. I was gonna say something jokingly, but I'll say that after we leave, so Arctic doesn't say, "Oh, you said that in character, did you?"
No, that might work because it's like 40% goes to the government, 10% cream for Jarl Axel. That's not too bad a rate, really. You know, it's not like anyone's going to pay tax. This is Skullport. God. Like, really, no one's actually going to pay any tax. Only the like it'll just stop lawful good businesses from entering because they'll be taxed out of the game.
But I'm sure the taxation rate can be an ongoing dialogue once all things are established.
She agrees to that.
Yeah,
But-
for our success, it should be adjusted accordingly.
Right, it doesn't need to be a defining factor of our success, although it would help if it was lower. 30%?
When the navies are built and the armies are assembled and the adventurers equipped, we can re-examine the rate.
Right, of course. Well, did anyone else have anything they wanted to add?
Oh, I think we're good here.
Yeah, I'm like biting my tongue. I've got plenty I want to add, but we're here because of me, so I choose not to open my mouth.
You're like I've just realised you're like a city-state that's being leaned on by the local nation. You know, like this is diplomatic extortion. Basically, we want 40% of all money that you earn for no other reason that we're close.
Yeah, I want to. That's why I'm biting my tongue off. I want to call them out on that right here in front of everyone. But
Lucius is like staring daggers at you with the. It's like a look of, oh, trust me, I have something I want to say as well, but don't you fucking dare.
Aldrich, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to lean over and pull on Sanj's sleeve and say, oh, what's tax?
What's that?
And
I hate this idea.
For the purpose of narrative, Sanj just goes into like a very long-winded, convoluted explanation, just like whispering to you, like trying to make sure you understand. But it's just, yeah.
It's going right over my head, but I'm totally just nodding along. Oh, okay.
Imagine you cook 10 pies, and the king wants 4 of them.
Pretty much.
For some reason, I just feel like one of the Hidden Lords is listening into Sanj and taking notes. Like, that's what tax is.
Aldrich is gonna blow smoke out of his nose and he's going to say, trust us, don't you?
She looks around the room, and there is there's a surprisingly large number of reactions, but she spends most of the time telepathically communicating to the figure directly to her right. And she says, "You are important to Waterdeep."
Who returned the embezzled gold? We did, right?
You did a splendid job aiding the city.
And if you want Waterdeep to flourish, Skullport is going to be an extension of Waterdeep. But it's going to be hard at that rate of tax. So won't you trust us to adjust that to be a better rate for businesses to flourish down there?
If the tax rate is lower, how will we be able to afford the extra security that is needed as this pit of vipers festers?
Oh, the urge to speak.
Oh, so so I didn't realize this in character, but so out of character, you mean she's saying that like the city will put forces down there themselves?
Not forces, but adventurers.
But I mean, it'll be funding.
That's right.
Essentially.
Funding good, neutral, good, lawful neutrals to go down there and outnumber the lawful evils and chaotic evils.
Oh, if that's the case, Lucius is not quite so discontent about that, because that is far more than I expected them to do.
Look, as I said, I think the taxation can be a ongoing dialogue. We don't need to make any rules set in stone right now. We can revisit it at a later time when we have more to work on. Off of.
It's still very early days. And We still need to assess the situation further, I think, in Skullport and surrounds.
Right, we need to worry about getting a foothold down there first, routing the Drow and their kidnapping operation, dealing with the Zentarum, the Durga.
Absolutely. You must understand, Lords, that it's a very malleable idea at this stage.
That being said, if any of you are willing to fund this venture in any way, we are open to taking contributions.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Right.
She looks.
Get back to me on that one.
She looks to the furthest right. The Lord seated farthest away from her on the right-hand side, and they briefly communicate. She turns back to the party. Have you rescinded your obligations towards Dragonspear Castle?
Oh, no, but I feel like it'll take us some time before we head back down that way. Dragonspear Castle is it's a very big problem that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Not to mention, I'm not sure if the Open Lord has forgotten this fact or not, but there's multiple devils as well as an ancient dragon within Dragonspear Castle. It's not something we're capable of dealing with at this point in time.
I think Skullport is something we can help with right here, right now, to help further the city in its endeavors. And Dragonspear is something that Dragonspear has been around for, hundreds of years? And it has been a cesspit for the majority of those years.
I wouldn't be so casual about it. There's certainly something happening now. It's just we don't have the ability at this point in time.
The Open Lord turns to one side and then the other, speaking to her companions. And my lords, she says, my lords of Waterdeep, I would ask you to indulge me a personal question of my own, of these people. I have heard that the location of the Promenade of the Dark Maiden was discovered recently. Are there any among you for whom Elistray holds your soul?
I sort of put half a hand up.
I spit on the ground.
Is there any paper nearby I can roll up and smack Aldrich with? I really want to roll a newspaper or something up and smack Aldrich with it for that.
Some unseen servants clean it up almost instantly.
Well, they're not rich enough to have actual servants. They need to use magical ones.
More economical. This is a capitalist society.
Yeah, I just nod towards Evram.
Yeah, I sort of hold my hand up and sort of look to Adrastia at the same time.
I don't raise my hand.
One or two of us, yes.
I would see the Promenade of the Dark Maiden rise again. It was a light shining down in the darkness, glowing beneath Waterdeep, like illumination in one's cellar. I would see that temple rise. My sister was once the high priestess of that temple, and its restoration would mean a lot to me personally.
Is this one of the hidden ways of saying this?
No, this is Laeral. One of the seven sisters was. I forgot about that. One of the seven sisters was the high priest at the the fucking promenade of the Dark Maiden.
So it's Laeral that was saying this.
It is. It's the Open Lord. Yeah, Laeral Silverhand.
I had no idea. I shall make it a personal endeavor of mine to see your wishes come true.
I wish the Silver Cloaks the very best of fortunes, whether in shining beneath the moonlight or deep beneath the earth. And the candle burns out.
Yeah, I take a bow as I sort of back out of the room, I guess.
Time to leave.
Yep. Out we go.
Well, I think that went well, didn't it? That went well.
Yes and no.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Did any of you wake me up, or am I still sleeping?
I
The unseen servants carry you out.
Yeah, there's like a broom
That's it.
brooming
Sweet.
you out.
That's exactly right.
Hisses at it.
Yeah. Scratches the furniture.
Well, I didn't know about Laeral and... Wait. She said her sister, right?
Yeah, one of the seven sisters, I'd assume. It would have been handy to know that beforehand.
You can see me just like I'm trying to work something out in my head, but I just can't quite get there.
Like we can see the gears turning.
Yeah, my mouth is open. I'm squinting. I'm like,
Like come down to like level with your face. Is everything all right in there, Zevram?
If Laeral's sister was the head priest of the Dark Maiden, and my mother was also a priestess, does that mean that Laeral might be my aunt?
Aren't you elves all related anyways?
But
thought
she could
you-
be at the wedding.
Laeral's a human, though.
Yes, well, maybe her sister. Maybe her sister was like you, Zevram, and she had the human removed.
I don't believe this is a thing. You're just trying to pull my leg.
No, it is entirely possible, Zevram.
Is Laeral still hand? I thought she was an elf.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I don't think
Aren't
so.
they?
I think she's a human.
I think.
Yeah,
she's
they're
an
immortal
elf.
humans. Yeah, they're the seven. It's complex. It's not as simple as it sounds. The seven sisters are magic, and that's the best answer. Their birth involves sorcery, and they're probably better off as being seen as individual demigods or a pantheon, I guess, of demigods. Right? Their parents were human, but they are something else entirely.
As far as I'm aware, she's like a chosen of Mistra.
Mistra.
Right?
Seven
So-
sisters are all chosen of Mistra.
Basically, chosen are like avatar. I don't know if you would call it an avatar, but basically
Champions.
champions of a god with a fraction of their power, essentially.
Yeah, they were. I think the difference is they were born as chosen, whereas most people get chosen. They were just chosen from the womb.
Weren't there a lot of chosen quotation marks during the time of troubles when all the gods were like mortal and started fornicating with mortals?
Probably true. Yeah,
Like I believe Yakzu Vim is
one of them.
child of Bane. right?
Yeah. Or Baal. Pain. Yeah. So.
What comes next for us?
Indeed.
Now,
Good question.
we need to establish ourselves in Skullport. If we're to make this work.
We need to deal with the drow first, I think. Alright,
Yeah.
Sanj, now that you're here, Zevram does not believe me when I tell him it is entirely possible to turn him into a full-blooded dark elf. He's actually questioning magic at this point.
There are ways, of course. There is always a way.
See, Zevram?
Though, did you have something specific in mind, Lucius?
Well, when he went to speak with Jalaxel, JB, I'm not sure if you've ever met him.
I haven't.
Jalaxel said that he would be willing to support this endeavor of rebuilding Skullport on the condition that, well, one of the conditions was that it was under the name of Tekken Jewis, which is the house that Zevram's mother came from. The thing is, reforming a drow house, because Zevram and his sister are the only remaining members of that bloodline, the other drow might not even accept them as their half and half.
I can tell you for a fact that they won't.
Rubbing the salt on the wound. Wow. Anyway, I mean, I was just saying to Zevram that it's entirely possible to turn him into a full-blooded dark elf.
For the purpose of gain in Skullport. It seems a costly price.
Yes, I'm not going to go under the knife just for this.
There's no knife involved. What kind of barbarians do you think we are?
But do you understand the further implications of that? Lucius? That seems... Keviak, yes?
Oh, sorry. Somebody said something offensive about barbarians.
Hey.
Look, regardless, that's an extreme solution.
Right.
I think
Why don't we put that one on the?
we'll leave it in the maybe pile, of course.
Yeah.
It does sound interesting.
Yeah, maybe I'll change my whole race. Yeah.
Well, I can at least alter your image a bit so you look more like a full drow.
What is this, like makeover day? I don't want your help.
But I think it's more like surgery.
Regardless, we don't have to alter anyone.
I don't want surgery. It has far too high a mortality rate.
I think we dally. We should proceed and try and make plans like down in Skullport. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
we've heard the Open Lords and the Open Lord and Silverhand, and she said that we're going to be held responsible for fuck ups.
Yeah, I'm not particularly happy with that. I don't like how she tied us all to us.
Well,
too much time handling.
That's out of our hands, unfortunately, and that's just the way the hammer has fallen. So with that in mind, we should move.
right. Just think of it as, motivation or exile. It's great.
Exile isn't that bad. You get used to it.
Oh,
Personally-
you've been exiled before?
Oh yeah, like a good 4 or 5 times now.
Oh. Well, we have a resident expert then. I'm sure we'll do just fine.
Speak
Personally, I
for
feel
yourself.
We should begin by trying to undermine the drow.
You say undermine, I think exterminate. House
Yes.
Overendar, they've been getting far too presumptuous. They need to be taught a
yes.
lesson.
And is that how we proceed? Guns blazing. We enter Skullport down deeper and just fireball and lightning bolt every sign of movement.
Yes,
simply-
that is the exact mood that I am feeling right now after being talked down like that.
I think it would be foolish.
I mean, they have the position, but I don't particularly like. And what's this shit about a 50% tax rate?
40,
right?
It's not going to work. They want this to fail, and yet they strapped, any responsibility is on you. It's using up us as scapegoats to deal with the problem. I don't appreciate that at all.
Isn't that what politicians do, though?
It is, but Layrol's always marketed herself as someone that's above the politics.
By slapping such an absurdly high tax rate on Skullport, it's just encouraging illegal business.
And so why don't we try and capitalize on that? We get ourselves a guild of sorts, right? Of quick-fingered hands and good eyes to see, spy, right? At least initially, if we can demonstrate an income with that we can provide, we can eventually then phase that out and move into something far more prosperous and legal.
We'll see. First, we do need to deal with these dark elves, and I don't think negotiation's going to work. So we need to decide on something there. This portal to the abyss is somewhat of a priority.
That must be closed. I think it imperative.
Well, I think it's decided then. The Drow is going to be our first target.
And how does that sit with you, Adrastia?
It doesn't bother me at all. I have no love for my kin. Not after what happened when I was very young. That's the reason why I don't have a house that I go by anymore.
So we're agreed then. We'll return to Skullport and then move upon the Drow.
Sounds like a plan.
I think so.
Who is going to be assisting us to exterminate these Drow?
Do we need assistance?
Keviak raises a hand.
Yeah, do we need assistance?
It's
I mean, if you're uncertain about things, let me spend a day or two crafting up a couple of scrolls.
There is I feel as though we should also consider what this implies for the Duergar as well. If we walk in and then within a period of, well, I don't necessarily know how long it's going to take, but if we end up successful, that also has massive implications for the Duergar. And that's then another thing we have to deal with at some point.
The Duergar is somewhat of a different situation because they're tied in with the Temple of Leviatar. We discussed this out of character before to see, how far things can go. Like, what's the difference in ideology between Aldrich and the people in charge at the temple? And basically, we came to the conclusion that Aldrich would be fine with seizing control forcibly as long as it doesn't affect, like, the lower ranks within the temple. So we could go in there, we could directly assassinate the High Priestess and her associates, and Aldrich would just walk in like, "What's up? I'm High Priest now, bitches."
Okay.
The Duergar with the Temple of Pain?
Yeah, remember there was that. Was it a hobgoblin or a bugbear or a half-orc that rode on the wyvern?
No, I can't remember.
Half-ogre.
Yeah.
Half-ogre. Yeah, he was the guy that seemed to be in charge of the Duergar, and remember, he was like all over you, Aldred.
Because
That is true. Yeah.
What I was thinking, could get that Temple of Pain to assist us in fighting the Drow.
Yeah, that was my idea.
Are you thinking like we convince them as is to help us, or we help you take over the temple, then we deal with the Drow?
Either way,
Surely
it'd be
would it be-
easier to help them to ask them to assist us.
Aldrich, if you were calling the shots before we even moved on the Drow, it would make life a
Yeah,
lot easier.
and then I think about it, that it's not a bad idea to move on the temple first.
That's like the foot in the door to the proverbial trade hub we hope to see it become, right?
Because if we do that first, then it's kind of two birds, one stone. Aldrich can put an end to the slave trade from the temple, but then it's also he'll be in control of the forces and can probably lend some assistance when we do attack the dragon.
Do you see yourself against your current High Priestess, Eldritch? Is this something that you would consider?
We already, he was good with that.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, what happened,
Yeah.
the TLDR, is that the priestess come from down south with a heap of other people and took over the temple by forcibly kicking out the previous high priest, and basically set the precedent for if you want to be in charge, you got to murder the person that come before you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're the main character here. If we do this, Billy. So, what's your thoughts? Do you want to do that before we go after the drow, or is that something that you were anticipating happening in the future?
It would be nice to, I feel like, because it's basically we're going to go against an army, so we might as well get an army.
Alright. It sounds like we're about to... So how are we going to do it? Are we going to sneak in and then assassinate them, or are we just going to go through the front door and be like, we're here to overthrow the current High Priestess?
Well, how would Eldritch do it?
How big? Because we took a year off, so if I spent that year preaching in Waterdeep, how big would my chapter be in the city?
Make a religion and a persuasion check.
Come on, nat 20, nat 20. Oh. Can he use inspiration on the religion check?
Yeah, can I use inspiration?
Yeah. Everyone has one per game.
Fucking Christ.
Well, it's better.
Maybe his congregation's just this whole group of like BDSM fetishists, and they're all like, wait, this is meant to be a church? They're like, I thought we were just coming here for a good time.
Yeah, all this stuff about Leviathan and whatnot, yeah, okay. Now hit me harder, Daddy.
Aldrich has just got this full congregation of hedonists. None of them are particularly religious, but hedonists nonetheless.
What if the heads of the temple done something illegal? Would getting them arrested be easier than assassinating?
Probably not.
They're not really inside the city.
And it wouldn't be as
the thing.
fun.
Yeah, no, but remember when we mentioned that there was slavery going on in Skullport at the moment, they said if there's slavery going on, it has to be ended immediately.
That
What-
gives us license to go in there and
What
kill 'em.
what if I know something about an old deal and an agreement between the Castle Lanterns Devil Cult and the old Zentarum?
And hang on, what?
Just hypothetically, what if I knew about some...
Yeah, hypothetically, if I knew about some deal and they had a saint of some sort imprisoned, would that...
They had who imprisoned?
Did you say a saint?
A saint, would that entail an arrest?
That's. I mean, I don't see how that's connected to the Temple of Leviathan because it would be through the Castellantas, and the Castellantas are big shots. I don't think something like that would manage to damage them. They'd be in the defensive for a bit, but what kind of saint? And like, do you mean like they framed someone or?
Hypothetically, if I knew about a saint that was imprisoned within the dungeon.
In the Temple of Leviathan.
Yes.
Which saint? do you know? Like, Aldrich, if there's something you know about this,
Which hypothetical saint?
And like, what's even the context of a saint? Is that like a high priest of some religion, or is it a chosen of some god, or?
hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, hypothetically.
Out of character, would this make Arctic? Would this make like the Lords interested in like making an arrest?
Yeah, it sounds like. Well, it's complex. The short answer is yes, but it's also outside of their jurisdiction, kind of, and it would upset people. So it's kind of the sort of thing that you'd usually send a strike team to take care of. But it would be quite a. I mean, yeah, it would be illegal and make people very angry. The short answer is yes. It would mobilize them to act in one way or another.
The strike team, kind of like maybe Silvercloaks.
Yeah, like an adventuring party.
Something not dissimilar to the Silvercloaks. Yeah.
I mean, it would give us 100% legitimacy in going in and capturing them and bringing them up to the city. And if you were able to frame that as you feel like they've gone against their tenets and you're taking over the church because they've fallen from grace, you'd be able to I don't want to say gain the support of, but it'd probably have the city seeing you as the legitimate leader of the temple. Like, it is something that would get you good favor and good graces, kind of thing.
So, I'm going to tell you about a deal that I've known. No deal.
Held breath.
Oh, hold on. Let's better to put it in Discord. Oops, wow, I'm just fucking up. Let me put it in here.
I can, yeah. I'll put it in the game as well. It's probably easier to read in Discord.
I'm just gonna read Roll20 like it's in William Shatner's voice. So many paragraphs. What the fuck?
Have you heard of the living saint Bernard?
And have we, Arctic?
Fairly obscure reference, history, religion check, DC 20. Yeah, it turns out you have. It's Living Saint Arane. Yeah, so she's called the Living Saint Arane. She was famous for discovering certain treasures, kind of solo. She was a priest, a paladin of the Red Knight, a relatively young goddess, who is the goddess of strategy and of tactics and of fighting smart. Anyway, she went into the Underdark, discovered certain things that are tied to the Dwarven kingdoms and just basically pleased her god to such a degree that she was elevated to the position of living saint. She disappeared in Undermountain a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years.
She's held in the Temple of Leviathan.
Yes, she is in the temple.
Would there be evidence in the temple
go.
proving? Would there be evidence in the temple proving that Victoria Castellanta is involved? Like what I'm asking is, that handout there makes it seem like Aldrich has told us a story about this thing, but that somewhere in the temple there might be a scroll or something that has what you've posted in Discord written on it.
That's correct.
Like,
there is a
or
physical
something?
scroll that is held within, where they keep the other valuables.
If we can get in the temple, rescue this woman, and get the scroll, that's... I don't even know how to put it. That would be a very big deal. Yeah, we should...
Post haste.
Aldrich, this is going to be something that may shake up everything. This goes back to what we were talking about out of character before, about the faith and everything. The words that are used here, is this like the writing of the temple, like how, for example, the Catholic Church or the Pope might act like they speak on behalf of God? Or is this seemingly something that has Leviathan's will on it? Like, from Aldrich's point of view, is this something that Leviathan has instructed these foreign priestesses to do, or is this something they've done for their own benefits?
It's like a papal bull, which is to, and the Pope speaks with God's authority in the Catholic Church. So it is with being an authority within these temples. Unless the god, decides otherwise and makes their will known personally, then you just assume that someone of this rank speaks with the authority of their deity.
Okay. So they're speaking with the rank. It's not... I'm just, from the out of character concern, I'm just trying to avoid us ending up in a situation where Billy has to lose his gods.
Oh, Billy, Aldrich has been a pretty thorough character in his, worship of Leviathan. And Leviathan's a bitch. She fights with, everyone. You can presume that she would let her daughters fight among themselves, and it's just they're pulling each other's hair and slapping each other all the time. So as long as Aldrich keeps living the tenets, and he has from day one, then she loves him.
Alright. If that's the case, we need to strike, and we need to strike hard to retrieve the saint and this scroll. Also, thank fuck I'm happy we didn't mention too much about the temple in front of the Masked Lords. I think we've mentioned a few times that we might suspect that Victoria would be a Masked Lord, but I did not think it would actually... Oh, that means that he knows everything we spoke of. We need to hit the temple sooner than later.
Well, I can do now, yeah.
Are we in agreement here? This is our next course of action?
The temple?
Yes. These foreign priestesses, but more importantly, even if we don't get them directly, if we can rescue the saint and then get this scroll that is evidence. The Castellantas have been a nervous tick of mine. I've been expecting them to search us out for revenge at some point. If we can,
I'll take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll get right into it.
Yeah, the Castellantis has been at the back of my mind since I first heard their name. They're obviously a lot of power, and yeah, this would be a spanner in their works for sure. They run a bank, don't they? They're a banking family.
Yeah, they're some of the most influential nobles in the entire city.
Yeah, they run the bank.
That's a very big money. That's money that we couldn't wrap our heads around.
And he's all
Everyone knows bankers are evil.
fucking Cardinal of Asmodeus.
You know what's funny?
We knew they were Asmodeus worshippers, but Cardinal of Asmodeus?
Oh, so the scroll literally names one of the Castellantas as a Cardinal of Asmodeus.
Victoro Castellanta, Cardinal of Asmodeus, and Masked Lord of Waterdeep.
We need to get this scroll.
Yes!
But,
yes, we do!
I think we need to keep it in our back pocket.
You know what's funny is I've had this information and I've just been sitting on it and I'm just like I don't know when to bring this up because it's not like anything that my characters can be like, hey, guess what?
How long have you been sitting on that, Billy?
Like a few weeks-ish, yeah.
Oh God.
Because I was really just like, I don't know when a time really to bring this up, and then it kind of like would go against, like, you know, one of my high priestess, but like today, thinking about it, it's kind of more like I'm actually trying to cleanse the temple and bring it back to its former glory, because especially doing dealings and you know, with other peoples of different faiths, to me is just blasphemous.
It also means then, if we openly move against the current High Priestess, right, we then paint a target on ourselves for the other members of this pact, right?
Well, we've already killed Istrid Horn. She was one of the Zentarum that ambushed us in Undermountain.
Yeah.
As for Victoria Castellanta, I doubt there's anything we can do that can make the grudge between us any worse. He was one of the main factors that was after the gold that we recovered for the city.
Oh.
And we screwed them over pretty hard.
So we're already in pretty deep at this point, then.
Yeah.
Those of you.
Yeah. No. I mean, you guys are kind of fine, but me, Zevram, and Aldrich, he would definitely want to see us burn in hell.
Well, if he's a Cardinal of Asmodeus, it might just happen, you know?
Yeah. Now that we found out he's a Cardinal of Asmodeus, no, if we can deal with him sooner than later. Look,
it also makes me wonder who's calling the shots for this guy. Who then is above this Victoro person?
Asmodeus.
Cool. So Cardinal, I suppose, is there not like a
pope?
A pope? Like, is that a thing? I don't know, like an anti-pope.
I mean, I would assume there's a head of the religion or the cult in the Forgotten Realms in general across Toril. I don't know about. I doubt he'd have anyone higher than him just because of his status within the city. But look, I mean, I'm completely against, under normal circumstances, I don't like using violent means on the surface, but my concerns about the Castellantas are to the fact that if we can have him removed from his status because of this, I would not hesitate to act. I think it would be very dangerous to do so.
Interesting.
I mean, hell, at one point when we first discovered there were devil worshippers a long time ago, there was a discussion among the group, and I'll admit it was a very different group at that point, but there was a discussion among us as to whether we should act. even knowing of his position in society. We didn't decide. We decided against doing anything, but still,
We need more traction then, I think.
if we can get this scroll,
Yeah.
that will be more than enough.
There's still the Black Gauntlet down there too.
Yeah, I did think of that, but I specifically didn't mention it because there's no way you're going to let Zevram give it to the Temple of Helm.
No, but if we use it while we're down there, maybe. I don't know.
What does it do?
I don't know.
No.
It's a gauntlet of Bane or Helm or what is it? The Black Gauntlet?
Is it the Gauntlet of the Beardless King? The Gauntlet of Gonalgrim? It's like some gauntlet of a female dwarven king or something, and it's like a magical item. I don't particularly want to give it to the Temple of Helm either, but Zevram made a pretty serious oath with them in like level 2, so we'll have to see what happens.
And is this Shina Delaris the current High Priestess?
I think
She is,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting. Okay. Wowzers. Alright.
So I have to ask what
Yeah,
exactly
think I'm ready.
we're gonna do here. We're gonna like start the raid immediately, or this is in regards to like time wise, because we've only we go till 5 in this game, not 4. So never mind that, because I thought we were finishing in 20 minutes, but we've still got an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you guys. Do I bring? Because I guess one of the Mass Lords would know if we brought it up to them. But if we bring it to Laryl to start a strike force, or do we go in?
Oh no! I think that would be a very big mistake after the attitude she showed in there. Like, I think we should rescue the Saint. And then we go to Laryl if we've got the Saint, and even better if we've got this scroll. I think we go to her then.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
In as much as I am 100% against that statement in most circumstances, yes, in this one I think it is the correct way of doing things. Less for asking permission, because I know she'll say if the Saint's there, definitely rescue them. And more for the concern of the more people that know about this, the more risks there are. Mm-hmm. Because Laryl may do something when she's morally outraged and like inform people. And Victoria Castellanta is a masked lord, so it'll be very easy for him to find out if something's going wrong.
Yeah.
That's why I think almost we keep the scroll ourselves for now and reveal it at a point that is better suited. It, of course, now is a well-suited time.
Well,
but if we can achieve our goals with just the Saint, right?
That'll depend. That'll depend on if the Saint can point a finger at Victoria. Like I said, Lucius is very cautious, and I don't want to say scared, but he's expecting some kind of retaliation at some point by the Castellantas if they ever get the opportunity.
Least,
And if we get a scroll that is gonna, because I mean, the Cardinal of Asmodeus thing will damage his reputation, but it might not necessarily hurt him because it might not necessarily be illegal.
So Aldrich, you've got 2 options for leading this mission. You can either take these guys through Undermountain, through the first level of Undermountain, which is fairly safe to you at this moment, blast away a few bugbears and carrion crawls. It's not going to mean a thing, you know. Or you can show them the secret entrance, the Leviathan entrance, the one that goes through a certain business up in the Seaward. So one takes them through 2 miles of unnecessarily wandering, and you've got the other one is the secret entrance. Which one? Yeah.
We've already been through the secret entrance.
So you don't let Waldrich decide, I guess.
No, I'm just saying. Just saying that we've been through that.
You already know it, right? So
I figured the secret entrance would be easier. It's more on the matter of, are we just going in and then we're just gonna start attacking, or do I go under the guise of saying like something like, I want to see the saint so I could torture her or something, and then see where she is, and then go from there.
Why don't me and Sanj upcast invisibility, and we'll have the entire party follow you? But there'll still be sound.
I could put myself in a pocket of yours, Eldritch. As a wee mouse, rat, toad. Possibly a toad, actually.
I think going through Undermountain itself will be a lot easier. Just to get the whole party down there without a ton of people knowing.
I mean, we did go with them last time. Well, you guys went with them. I didn't because, well, Temple of Leviathan. But you went with them last time when you went down the secret thing. So would it really be that different if we went with them again?
If you're with me, you're pretty because it's not like they're knowing we're gonna do anything. So it's just, you could pretty much say like you're gonna convert or something. We could just walk in together basically.
So when we do this, are we going straight to try and find the saint, or are we going in, capturing the high priestess, then looking for the saint?
What about the scroll? What priority does that have?
The scroll is a priority, but saving the saint should be a higher one.
I think if we exert control and some level of command first, it makes the rest of the situation easier. That said, I feel there's no harm in reacting to how it plays out either.
But when we go down there, so for example, do we get Aldrich to seek a meeting with the high priest, and then he states something like, "I'm in charge now, bitch," and then we all act, or? Well, I mean, this is your call, Aldrich. It's your temple.
Yeah, I trust Aldrich's judgment here. So.
I guess the only thing we need to answer before we go is, do you want us to sneak in separately after you've gone to meet with the high priestess, or do you want us with you?
I think it'd be better if we're all together. And
Alright.
Yeah, it's more, but the only thing I can't really decide on is, should we seek the saint first and then fight our way out from there, or seek the scroll, which we could probably find through the high priestess, and then find the saint.
Knowing where the saint lies gives us an advantage.
Do you know where they are in the temple, or?
Do I know where they are?
It's not a particularly big temple, so you can find your way to the torture chamber, and if you can find your way there, then you should be able to find the prize.
Alright, I'm ready to do it.
Alright. So you go through the whips and chains store, leatherware, and descend down through the secret staircase, crudely carved by the hands of slaves more than a century ago under the tutelage of Hlasvagi, who has now been driven from his position of power and driven deeper into the complex that is Undermountain. Soon after you reach the main chambers, the old dwarven roads that once linked Malerkin to cities beyond, and you can see up ahead, or you can hear them perhaps first, a kobold and an ogre, both dressed in the livery of Leviathan. Both of them restrained enough that they don't attack upon sight, but rather try to ascertain who it is that you are. How do you deal with these least of foes?
I say, I just show my my symbol and say, "You should know who I am by now."
They bow and they tremble with fear and maybe a little anticipation, a little hope, perhaps that you might show them the punishment they so deserve. They beg forgiveness.
Give them a big flail each on the back and say, "Carry on."
It knocks the poor kobold out.
And then I wave the rest through and continue.
As the kobold writhes in pain on the ground, his back almost broken in bliss, and the ogre steps aside so that the entourage can make their way through. You hear the sound of whips and cracking and screams up ahead, and eventually you make your way until you reach the House of Pain. Jump around, jump around.
I'm using that thing, so I'll be able to see into the ethereal plane for 60 feet.
Excellent. So this place is a den of depravity. There are a couple of Zentarum soldiers who are keeping some level of order over the community. They weren't here last time. And but everything else was drug users, drunkards, gamblers, prostitutes, various down and out or depraved individuals preying on those who find themselves in a situation of misfortune. It's you can smell the clouds of smoke of several drugs. You can see flasks of various liquors. Mud and human filth is everywhere. And the sounds of whips cracking and people screaming in ecstasy or agony, you're not really sure which, reverberate throughout this complex. No one stops you from entering that.
I slowly walk through and say, "Hail Leviathan."
Hail Leviathan. Sexiest goddess in the world, hey? The other one is afraid that maybe his friends spoke too much to you.
I just scoff at the comment and continue.
Yeah, she likes it like that, eh? Hard and painful. So, would anyone like to buy any slaves, any poisons, any drugs? Because you're being pimped right now. Like, if you can have her. 5 minutes, 5 hours, don't matter to me, mate. You just let's talk price. One of the Scourge Maidens whips someone who is presumably willing, but I mean, you can really tell around here. But they stop when they see Aldrich approaching. Haven't seen you around here for a while, says one of the acolytes whom, you dole out punishments or pleasures as you see fit.
Yes, it's been quite a while. I figured I'd pay my respects and to the temple and pay a visit. You'd come see me in the upper chapter sometime.
Why, I heard you weren't welcome here no more.
Who said that?
Well, that's what I've heard. Goodbye and good riddance, like. I'm glad you're back. She wraps her whip around your neck.
I give her a backhand and then I tell her, you shouldn't listen to rumors like that. Could you show me the way to the torture chamber?
Wipes the blood away. What if I don't want to?
I suppose, maybe I'll show you Leviathar's whip.
I don't think you've got the strength to hold it. And she turns her back on you and walks away.
I quickly like kick her in the back of the leg and push her down, and I strike her with the. Is it?
Roll for initiative as she attempts to defend herself. She's fast.
But why would she defend herself? I thought she likes it.
Yeah, to a point. And besides, these
Heretics!
guys,
Heresy! They're turning on their religion! Exterminatus!
he's not fit to hold the whip. Not
Do you
fit
want
to
to
hold the
roll?
whip. Anyone who wants to get involved in kicking this woman as Aldrich torments her?
I mean, Kevik's always down to punch somebody.
That's especially if someone is down, makes it easier.
Just getting ready to fireball the 2 Zentarum goons at the door.
Alright. So, Ariok, it would appear that you see these two struggle. This woman is clad all in leather, from her boots to the hair ties that keep her hair together. And she's armed with a whip and a great deal of attitude. And it seems that there's something of a personal struggle going on between your resident pain priest and this woman. What do you do about it?
I will move here, and if Aldrich is struck, I will strike.
Excellent. Aldrich is struck. She is fanatical about her position within the temple, and she doesn't want Aldrich to usurp it. So she wraps the whip around his throat and begins to choke him with all the fury that she can muster for 7 points of damage. And you have to make a dexterity save. Alright, so you're wrapped up in this choking lash as it begins to drain the life out of you. And while she's holding you in place, she then stabs you with a blade that she draws from her side. But she's clumsy and far more proficient with the whip than the blade.
Aldrich is enjoying the whip and he kind of sidesteps the blade, like, no, it's pushing it too far.
As I'm being choked and stabbed, and like my face is turning purple, like I have this smile on my face.
Oh, jeez.
So do I take my attack?
You do, Ariok. It's now you can react to her aggression. Bam! It's a good kick, or a good hit. But you only get one attack when holding your action. So while it's
Sorry.
that's fine. That's fine. I didn't even see the first one. The first one was a miss, wasn't it? And so like you try to get in there, but your attack is relatively ineffective. Not really hurting your enemy. Adrastia.
Oh boy, this went from 0 to 100 real fast.
Yeah, do you want to be involved in it?
Taking my gaze off of what's going on over there, I'm gonna look back to the 2 guards. Does it look like they're about to intervene in all this, or are they happy to just stand by the doorway?
At this point, they're not getting involved, no. It looks like they're trying to work out if they should or not. Like, this is 2 priests fighting, both of them outrank us. What do we do? They're not sure.
I guess I'll step over here just a little bit, and I'll hold an action hold a crossbow shot if either of those 2 guards draw their weapons and advance.
Alright.
Something like that.
When they see that you're, deliberately trying to keep them out of it, that throws a new element into it anyway. It gives them a moment to think about things. Lucius.
Likewise, I'm going to kind of step to the side a bit, eyeing off the guards. And if they start to move towards us, I'm going to blast the one that Adrastia doesn't shoot with firebolt.
Alright, now they're pretty convinced that drawing their weapons might be a bad idea. Kaisia?
I'll step forward a little bit and pull out. Oh, yeah, I'll pull out my hand axe. Just try to lob it in the back of the priest's back.
Excellent. Raising the aggression level considerably. While she chokes your companion, you launch your tomahawk and it lodges in the side of her body. She squeals with anger and pain.
Oh, man, Aldrich, Christmas is coming early for you, being choked out and having blood sprayed all over you.
Keviak, there's a man just like hanging from the wall in a crucifix, watching all of this with drool coming out of his mouth, trying to get a good angle on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure. Keviak's gonna move up to really just complete the encirclement and make 2 reckless unarmed attacks.
Alright.
So both of those with advantage.
That second shot is a knockout and just sends a tumbling to the ground. KO. Aldrich, Keviak has knocked your bitch out.
Since she's knocked out, I just spit on her and then I just say, okay, let's just move on. She was useless.
Kind of gonna walk up just to Aldrich's like shoulder.
Baby crawls over to your son while you do.
My mage hand picks up the baby and like cradles it while I talk to Aldrich.
Alright.
I say, do we want to make sure those 2 guards can't leave until we're ready to go?
You mean dispose of them now?
Well, I can keep them in here. Like, just seal off the passageway that led us in here. We don't have to kill them.
Oh,
That might let them know that something's going on.
yeah. As far as they know,
I prefer not to alarm the Zentarum.
this is just a normal way of us Leviathan saying hello to each other.
I see. Turn to the baby and just give it like a Gucci Gucci goo, and then Mage Hand kind of drops it back over, like down this way.
I'm gonna brush away some of the glass that's on the floor, likely, before he does that.
That's a nice gesture.
Human children, they're so fat, so chubby.
I know, right?
I guess
Oh,
not
that
everyone
one would be
born as a
bad,
tadpole
chubby.
like you.
Oh, I know, I can remember it clear as day. Swimming without a care in the world. And now here I am in a temple dedicated to torture and pain. It's been an interesting life.
So I'm a bit suspicious with them saying Aldrich is not allowed to come back anymore, so I'm going to cast Detect Magic as we're walking. Not as a ritual, I've actually got it prepared this time.
I too. I'm just gonna like pause, take a deep breath, and begin concentrating on telekinesis.
The sounds of whips cracking begin to fade into the distance, and you enter an area that smells like perfume, and well, kind of a little bit like Ariok. You can smell a beast, an animal, a lion, perhaps.
Hey, I bathe regularly.
Yet you still have a certain aroma that no doubt some tabaxi males can find alluring. A natural.
I don't bathe.
Well, there you go.
Don't worry, Kaisia, we know. I can't tell if it's you or Bjorn half the time.
Oh, we're the same. Don't worry.
You enter into an area where a magical star appears on the ground, encrusted with glowing runes, mostly purple but also blue and black. And behind you is a mosaic, a series of tiles that are laid out to resemble the holy symbol of Leviatar, a lashing whip coated with blood. Before you is a woman on a throne. She has a white lion or a white leopard beside her, and the woman herself is quite striking in her beauty. There is a guard in front of her, a man from the south with dark skin, and she is flanked by both a few scourge maidens, such as the one that Aldrich and Keviak disciplined so thoroughly, and a pair of massive nude statues. Um, Although the statues are tall, they represent a woman who is quite short. It's Leviatar with her ample breasts and her broad hips but narrow waist. There you are. You have come here unbidden, says the woman on the throne.
I heard I was unwelcome here. I think that's true.
Well, you are here now, so I will suffer your presence and the presence of those you bring. To what do I owe this pleasure?
I wish to see the saint.
I don't know what you're talking about, brother.
Oh, you do. That seek the destruction of this place. I wish to show her Leviathar's
And why?
whip.
Why would you state such a desire so publicly? Could you have not come to me privately? If you desired this so? I'm not sure that I can trust the ears of everyone present.
The people present are devotees and new followers of Leviatar. You can trust these people.
This surprises me. But since you are here, perhaps we can discuss the way things are and the way things should be. If you are truly loyal, then help me finish the job. As you know, I have driven Hlethvargi, the foul necromancer, who was no friend of Waterdeep. I have driven Hlethvargi from this place and into Undermountain. The undying apostate, however, is still a problem for all of us. Perhaps you could do me the favor of entering Undermountain and hunting him down where he plots. He may have holed up in Skullport. If you could perhaps do this for me, then perhaps I would know that you are someone who loves me.
Of course, you know which level of London they are.
I do not think he has gotten so deep. I had heard reports that he was in Skullport, or somewhere within its vicinity.
Well, I was already on my way down there, so I shall do this. But first things first, take me to the saint.
If you are so determined to see her, then I grant you permission. Follow the corridor upon which you have already come until you come to the portcullis. Open the portcullis, find a way down into the oblet, and from there, I am certain that you will find your own way.
I bow and slowly back away.
As Aldrich goes past me, I'm gonna whisper to him, should we capture them now? It's a good chance that if we go this way, she's just gonna organize a trap for us. It says a 50-50 chance of that.
I look to the others, and then I look to the High Priestess, and then I walk back to her, and I cast Toll of the Dead.
Alright.
We on.
She sees you prepare to cast your spell and recognizes it instantly. But it is you who the bell shall toll for, she promises you as she rolls for initiative.
Bitch, please, he's got 2 goddamn counterspell batteries standing behind him.
Oh, I knew I was meant to prepare something earlier today.
Why you didn't do it?
I'm completely going. I'm joking. I've got it.
I was gonna say, how is it not always on your prepared
It
list?
is. No, it is honestly.
Like, I'll take any spell off my prepared list, but counterspell is never
That's
leaving
the bread and
it.
butter, isn't it?
It's that spell that you hope you never have to use, and you hope even more that you never have to use it and not have it prepared.
Better get this started.
Is it just me, or is that statue's arm really long?
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
is.
long.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's its arm.
Oh, that's an arm.
It's like a fucking orangutan length arm.
Alright, Adrastia.
Alright, so considering that the plan is to take the woman in the throne alive, I'm gonna focus my initial volleys on the dark-skinned male standing off to the side. So I'll begin shooting at him with regular bolts.
Alright. He has sword and shield.
Okay.
Poor guy, first he rolled a natural 1 on this initiative, then he got barraged by a dark elf.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think I have advantage against opponents that haven't acted in before me.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a 31.
That'll do it.
A 10 and additionally 5 for ambusher.
Oh, the wounds hit him in the gut. You'll pay for that.
We'll see about that. There's more to come.
Wait for attacks 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8 first.
8
Yep.
and 15.
Alright, so 38 damage.
Yeah.
Oh, he keels over and spits up blood. For Dabrath!
Yeah, that's all I've got. I chose not to use Hunter's Mark because I figured fodder. we'll see. We'll see whether he really is fodder when he walks up and just one-shots Aldrich or something.
Keviak.
Keviak would like to rage as his bonus action. And you said that drawing a weapon is part of movement. How much movement does it take up?
None.
Oh, alright then. Then he's going to draw his great axe and charge the boss bitch. And probably lay 2 great axe swings into her. Reckless.
Excellent.
Don't forget we're trying to take her alive, goddammit.
No, we're not.
Keviak is not entirely privy to that element of the plan.
I mean, it's optimal to take her alive. It's not necessary.
Oh, I like that graphics, man.
Yeah, you said reckless, right?
Yep, so both of them have advantage, and she has advantage against me.
It's just you're lucky. You're very lucky with your swing as you swing around wildly and furiously. You for a moment you think that you don't hit, but it's to your surprise you draw blood. How much is that in total?
19 damage.
Pretty good. And as she holds her arms up to defend herself, you can see that while the blood flies and she screams, you don't fell her. You don't clear fell her, and she prepares to retaliate. All right. Now, before Aldrich can react, a figure steps out from behind the statue. This woman, this half-elf, has tall with long legs, and her back glows with a burning blue tattoo that those of you who are familiar with the spell plague will recognize as a spell scar. When she sees the battle unfolding, her initial response is to go for Aldrich, but then she notices that the Queen is in more danger than she could have anticipated, and she's forced to reassess her situation, and instead goes for Keviak. 1, 2, 3, 4. At the standing at the top of the stairs as you are, she towers above you. Almost 6 foot tall herself, and 1 or 2 stairs above you. All right. She uses the skills that she has learnt in the field to attempt to end your life immediately with a pair of short sword attacks. 23 and 18.
Those both connect.
Alright. DC 13 poison saves. You have advantage because you're a dwarf, as I understand. And you take half damage from the poison in any case. So, work out whether you save, because the poison's pretty significant. It's also sneak attack. Once per turn, use a sneak attack, which is an extra 4d6. So this is a bit of a complex damage roll, but 14 plus 16, 30 of it is inevitable.
He is raging though, so halved.
Yep.
Oh, good call.
To slashing, bludgeoning, and piercing.
Excellent. So, and they're all even numbers, so it brings it down to 4, 4, and 7. 15 damage.
Respectable.
Yep. The poison you fail, but you take half damage from anyway. So it's 14 and 12 for a total of 26. 26 and 15, 41.
Jesus.
And when you don't die, she is bitterly disappointed.
41 to a raging barbarian is still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still over half health.
I look to the High Priestess and I say, "You are a false prophet. You are not living the tenets of pain. You do not deserve Leviathar's whip." And I'm going to run up to this guy and gonna sprout dead decaying wings out of my back. And it'll be a DC 12.
Alright.
That's Keviak, the Scourge Maiden, and the warrior. Everything within 10 feet.
It doesn't matter for me. I'm immune to fear.
Even better.
Alright. It's a charisma saving throw?
Yes.
Beautiful. They are in the heart of their own temple. How could they possibly know fear here? Alright. Entering the fray, the Scourge Maiden ravages Aldrich with pain as she lashes at him with her whip. Make a Constitution saving throw, DC 12.
Is that only if it hits me, or is it regardless?
Oh, it's gonna hit you. Does a 17 hit?
No.
Excellent, excellent. So she wraps her whip around you and tries to rack you with pain, but instead it catches on your armor. And instead she draws her sword and tries to finish you off a more traditional way. But it's no more effective than the last attack. The snow leopard leaps at Keviak and attempts to rip him to pieces. It bites on your throat, trying to bring you down. 23 for 8, reduced to 4 damage, and you've got a cat mauling you. Is this how you thought you'd go? This is the way you thought you'd die, being mauled by a cat at the foot of a throne?
You thought it would be me, though.
You assume Keviak thinks he's gonna go.
Thought it would be Ariel.
Different kind of mauling, too.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
This ain't my kind of pussy.
Don't like white pussy. Right. Zevram. There is this glowing star on the floor, and it seems like its runes are intensifying over the past few seconds as we spill blood in the room that is holy to Leviathan.
I look at the chaos unfolding in front of me, and I look around to survey the room, moving forward slightly, and I look to the statue, and I begin waving some gestures in the air as you see that a purple stream of magic sort of drift from my hand towards the statue and begin to envelop the statue as I animate the statue.
Oh god.
Hey.
It's pretty gnarly.
Even
Which one?
Leviathar's-
North or south?
The south one.
Excellent.
Even Leviathar's come to your aid, Aldrich.
Now, I guess it's up to you to determine what size it is, because if it's only a large, then I'll do both statues. If it's a huge, I'll just do one.
It's huge.
Cool.
Alright. Does it roll for it? Does it get its own initiative and everything?
It gets its own initiative. I can do it after me if you want to simplify it, or we can just roll it out.
We'll roll it up. I assume that. So what is it?
It's
what's the
a
spell?
animate object.
Right. So I can't create I can't just pull down a monster for it, can I? There's
no, I don't think there's sheet for it in the SRD.
I'd just put an empty sheet down and let him put the stuff in during other people's turns.
Yeah, I could just roll it in chat as well. I know I have the stats in front of me. So.
Yeah, just roll it in chat. Yeah.
So it's got 80 health, AC 10, Strength 18, Dex 6, plus 8 to hit, and 2d12 plus 4 for its damage.
Cool. So give it an initiative roll. D20 -2 by the sound of it.
I can't select it.
Just roll it manually.
Oh,
and I'll
sure.
roll it for the sound. Okay, cool. No worries. I'll move that up. Right, so it's about to go now, pretty much, isn't it?
A few people before it.
Yeah, cool, perfect. Alright.
And then I will give Keviak inspiration. Regular bardic inspiration, nothing special. And step back 10 feet as I draw my scimitar. Or draw Azura, rather.
What's the die for that inspiration?
1d8.
Sweet.
Alright, who's up next? Lucius.
Me. Alright, so I have had the detect magic going for before we entered the room.
Good
that
call.
star you've mentioned it flickering, like can
Absolutely.
I tell what it is?
Yeah, sure. Make an Arcana check to begin with, but I will give you the information that you get automatically once I look it up.
31.
31's pretty good. Alright, so it's an abjuration to begin with. It's a 7th level abjuration. Specifically, it is the symbol of pain.
Is that similar to the high level wizard spell Power Word Pain?
I don't think so. It's the spell called Symbol of Pain.
You mean
symbol.
the actual symbol spell?
Correct.
I thought it was some unique thing for the temple.
Sort of.
If I remember correctly, that spell is like you don't want to step in it. Can I determine the radius of the spell with the detect magic? Like
with a 31,
where it covers?
60-foot radius.
I'm gonna have to dispel that. I can't attack them. Okay, I'll use my crook to cast dispel magic on the.
All right, and just as you do, she uses her legendary action to activate it.
Well, hang on. Legendary actions happen at the end of the turn. Doesn't happen during my turn.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's thematic anyway. So like you can't really dispel it until it comes on, or however it's done anyway. Is she creates the symbol, she animates the symbol,
okay. So it's a bit different to the actual symbol spell. It's like the symbol spell is inbuilt into her legendary action.
Yeah, that's basically right. And
any opportunity to counterspell this at all?
It's the wrong colour. I chose a really bad colour. Counterspelling it? I don't think so, no. Dispelling it. Yeah, because it's
Sure.
not... legendary action. Yeah, you might be able to counter it. Yeah, as long as you can counter the 7th level spell.
Yeah, so I think it's a DC 17 intelligence check. Yeah, I'll just post counterspell just to have a look.
Yeah, sure. And I'll just post her action.
So 10. So it's,
Spellcasting check, yeah.
yeah, so
So you
it's
just
if
hit
it's a 7th level spell, so it'll be a 17 intelligence check.
Cool.
Alright, so I have a question then. If she's only casting it as the legendary action, what was I dispelling?
So you can sort of dispel, like, it's... well, we're not strictly going within the rules at the moment anyway, but you can now try to dispel the magic of the ability. She was about to activate it anyway sometime during this. I was just trying to work out when the most dramatic point would be. I've chosen it now, so you're able to attempt your dispel just as Sanj is attempting his counterspell.
Okay.
Just for your reference as well, Arctic, I'm going to use my inspiration here.
Great idea, yeah.
Have I used my inspiration today? I don't believe I have. No, I haven't. I'm going to use it as well, because this might be very... Yeah.
The counterspell is effective, and thus the potency of the symbol is nullified, and it remains dormant. Going back to the just being a set of tiles in the ground.
Yeah, so there's like a gathering of that energy. I just like snap my fingers in my right hand, and it just dissipates.
Alright, she is terrified as she wonders. She looks at the animated statue of Leviatar and the fact that the symbol isn't activating. She begins to question whether Leviatar has lost faith in her.
You'd think the angry dwarf in her face would be clue enough.
Wow. She's had angry dwarves in her face before.
But not like Kevian.
Is that a euphemism for like...
Yeah, angry at how?
Well, not satisfied at least.
Oh, the
But I
blood
think
is pumping.
Blood is pumping.
Okay, I move up. I'm attacking her.
Alright, she defends with swords in hand, dripping with
shot.
poison.
I'm immune to poison.
Oh, that sucks.
Those are 2. I'm going to spend a key point.
Alright.
Will give me 2.
Boom. She takes both of your hits and shrugs them off. Your combo, which would fell most people, merely bruises and disorientates her.
Okay, and now open hand technique says where was it? She must make a dex saving throw or be knocked prone.
Alright. Here comes. Nimble, but not today. She falls over, humiliated, and her skirts fly everywhere. Her high heels are kicked off. It's embarrassing.
And I'm gonna make another key point for stunning strike to stun her.
Alright.
A Constitution saving.
Perfect. It's good to roll them like one at a time, because if you're able to get her down, you'll then get advantage on the rest of the attacks. Not that it matters in this case, because she is stunned by your martial arts skill. Who was your master? She asks as she goes.
Can't ask, she's stuck.
Yeah, to be my...
Who was your master? And she's like caught in an epileptic stance. Sanj.
You're muted if you're talking.
Thanks. Yep, I take a few steps forward. I deeply inhale, deeply exhale, and I'm going to use my action to try and restrain the High Priestess with my telekinesis.
Alright.
So it's I believe it is it's athletics versus my spellcasting check.
Athletics, okay. You have bound her up. Oh, she struggles and struggles like a maid strapped to, well,
She likes it though.
but maybe.
See now how even your own god turns against you. I gesture to the statue, and that'll be my turn.
Speaking of the statue, Plump, what does she do?
So I realized I needed to use my bonus action to direct it. So I haven't given Keviak his inspiration. I'm instead using it to direct the statue to attack.
Roger.
And I'm going to point at this woman here.
Crunch. I'm smashing down on her head from behind. Bam. Alright, it's a stunning blow, but she bears it with a squeal, and as the masonry collapses around her, she emerges from the chalk dust, bloodied and bruised, while the statue continues to pummel her.
Not very often you get to see a god beating up its own priestesses.
That's all it's going to do. So I guess it's just moving into this space here, the force.
Right.
That's right. It's huge, isn't it? So it's like encompassing these 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, that's fine. I was going to hit Yakuna, but I don't want to be the one to tell Brett that I killed him.
Indeed. It would be a shame. Kaisia and Bjorn.
I'll start by just kind of run down to here, and I'll cast Booming Blade.
Alright.
Swing at the priestess.
She is vulnerable, having been pummeled by a giant statue. Damn, that will finish her off. How do her final moments end before she finally meets Leviathan personally?
Well, she will hear a mad chuckling of 2, like, monk-like things in her ears as my sword comes crashing down on her.
Looks over her shoulder.
Demigorgon starts fighting for her soul.
Ah, that's nasty. That is nasty. Make a religion check.
I'm not good at religion.
Don't worry, nobody is. Not even the cleric.
Fortunately, her faith is strong enough, and Demigorgon goes hungry today. He blames you.
Oh no. That'll be it for my turn then. Bjorn is going to kind of bull rush through the party here. And start munching down on this fighter.
Alright, he holds up his shield to defend. I can take on a bear. I have killed bears before. But not this bear.
I don't know why he has disadvantage. He shouldn't have disadvantage, so 27.
He does not. So 27. Oh, it's a great mauling, and the man is breaking. He's down on one knee as he tries to bear the weight of this polar bear, but struggles against it. Oh. Let it be said that the bear died this day as I died! And he makes a pair of attacks with his sword, driving it into Bjorn. with all the force he can muster.
All the force he can muster. 7 damage.
Does a 12 even hit?
No, it doesn't.
We can hope.
Does a polar bear have cave bear statistics or something?
No, it gains armor based off my proficiency bonus.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So it's at 15 AC right now.
Nice.
15 is pretty good.
Yeah.
The man he sees that this fight is lost, but he will not give an inch. He will die for these women. I will die for these women!
Yes, he will.
And I've wasted your life.
Astraea.
The party are all engaged in melee, and I don't have a clear shot to anything at the moment. Not even if I... Yeah, so instead of trying to shoot, I'm going to move over to the portcullis, and I'm going to inspect it, see if there's any kind of mechanism to open it, like a lever or something like that.
Yeah, there is. That's right. A lever, a pretty simple system, and it's meant to be open from this side. So there's nothing too complex or about the way it operates.
I guess I'll just chill out for now then.
All right. No worries. So you don't open it?
In particular? No, not yet.
Okay.
I was checking to see how easy it would be to open it.
Make a perception check. You hear soft sobbing and groaning, wailing, coming from the northeast of where you're standing.
Interesting.
Keviak on the front line. There is a woman lying prone and vulnerable. There's another woman on the throne, and there's a cat eating your face.
Yeah, I'd say surrounded by pussy on all sides and reduced to half health, Keviak is going to fly into a frenzy.
Not just pussy, also bare ass.
That's right.
There's a bear at your back. Bear back? No.
Yeah, he's gonna try to simplify matters a little bit here, and take 2 great axe swings at the unconscious bitch who just stabbed him like 3 times.
Your wounds still fester.
And then, as a bonus action, because he's frenzying, he's gonna make a 3rd attack at the tiger clawing at his arm.
Alright. You go into a frenzy. Ooh. Ouch. Swinging that axe wildly around, nearly clops Ariok on the head. Guess what? They all hit.
Yep. First swing, 15 damage.
Ooh, ouch.
Ooh, so
31?
that should be, because I have brutal criticals, you essentially triple the damage die instead of double.
Alright, roll again.
So you get 3rd D12, eh?
You can add that into the attack as well.
Yeah, you can change that very easily. I can show you later if you want.
I'd appreciate it.
28, 31, 38. 38 plus what was the original one?
15.
38 and 15, 53. That finishes her.
Fuck you.
And one more on the tiger.
Alright.
So 18 to the tiger.
Alright.
19 rather.
It's only a little leopard, not a tiger, and as a result, your attack is enough to finish that off as well. He just steals all the kills.
Then he stares down the queen bitch and just has this come at me, bro look on his face.
Is she even in the initiative? Somehow she...
Yeah, I was gonna say, she didn't seem to have a turn.
She was there.
Right, I'll have her go now.
Because I remember she used her legendary action to try to cast that spell, but she didn't actually have a turn.
Didn't actually have a normal action. No, never mind. My fault. She acts now, and
she's restrained at the moment, just for the record.
all right. So what does that mean?
I'll paste it here.
0 speed, advantage. Yeah, it doesn't affect spell casting. Most importantly. Damn, nothing much she can do. Alright, yeah, really not much she can do. And things are going so badly already. She dies, sees death all around her when she surrenders. Aldrich.
I am going to get it. Going to hit the guy in front of me with that. Does that hit him?
Dude, the 16? Let's see. No, he split and shield. He fends you off, fighting the bear and you at the same time.
Then I guess I do nothing.
The last Scourge Maiden leaps in and tries to wrap its whip around the neck of Ariok. Does a 17 hit? Oh, 24, sorry. Natural 20, I didn't see that first one.
Yeah, I have 19.
It wraps its she wraps the whip right around your neck and begins to choke you. 9 points of damage as it pulls the life, and it takes your breath away as well. Make a dexterity saving throw, DC 12. But fortunately, you manage to catch the lash, and the worst of it is borne across your shoulder rather than your throat. She cannot choke you, not today. The cat is dead. Severin.
Okay, guess I'm gonna run up and do some slashy slash. Can I make it in there? Don't think I can make it in there actually.
Alright.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just slash at this one.
She's trying to bring her whip back from the attack on Ariok.
So first attack. I will defensive flourish with this. And then
Brutal.
second attack.
Another hit. That one will finish her off.
Cool. And I will have 26 AC until the end of my next turn. Or start of my
her body falls beside you, collapsing off the ledge, and you leap out of the way with an uncanny agility.
Oh, and bonus action Bardic Inspiration for Kaviak.
Cool. Lucius, the queen is just cowering on her throne, trying to stay out of the wild swings. As they carve her throne to pieces.
Yeah, it wouldn't feel right for me to interfere in that. She's Aldrich's business. I'll just take care of that last fight.
Alright. Bam. You knock him. He smashes up against the base of the statue, burning alive. Alright, area.
And I'll just move back to there and watch our back.
I take the whip off my neck and look at Caveat and Zevram in disgust and stomp off.
So angry.
Taking my
Sorry,
kill.
love.
I flip him off as I walk away.
You kicked your ass.
Yeah, I'm again gonna use my action to exert control over the High Priestess. But I'm also, if I succeed, I'm gonna try and like lift her up 30 feet out of the way of a raging dwarf barbarian.
Sure.
So it's their strength versus the intelligence again.
She just submits at this point.
Oh sure, just 30 feet straight up. And I turn to Aldrich and I say, well, if you have any questions, I think now's a pertinent time. Take a step forward, and that'll be turn.
Statue. Can I see her? Yep.
Sorry, yeah, I will get the statue to just go up to China and grab.
Excellent. Try to see her and beyond.
Kind of looking around, it looks like everything's taken care of, so I'll just start cleaning the blood off my blade.
Excellent.
And Bjorn's licking Caviac's face right now.
Tasty.
Kiviak staring down this bear he's pretty sure wasn't there when he entered the room.
He's a stealthy bear. He's always around.
Then he just spins around and like places the blade of his battle axe to Queen Bitch's throat.
She's 30 feet up in the air.
He activates his boots of flying.
Worth it.
Can I try to play keep away?
Yeah, so it becomes a tug of war between the statue and Sanj. With this flying dwarf, oh man.
It's a very complex game of Quidditch.
So I look to the priestess and I say, "Where is the Black Scroll?"
You will find it beyond the pit, beyond the pet, beyond the slaves, in the treasury.
Bring her with us in case she's lying.
Or one more thing. I want you to say that you're a false prophet.
Give me the time to save my friend's life. Give me the freedom to bring her back from the dead.
Which friend?
Jonah.
I want you to say that you're a false prophet.
I will say it after. Let me use my powers one last time.
My hand starts glowing with necrotic energy and say you're a prophet or I will kill her now.
I shall say it after.
One last chance, bitch. Say it.
Make an intimidate check.
Oof.
I will see you in hell, and when I do, I shall rip you apart night by night and feed you to the wolves.
Can I kill her now?
Then I just slam my hand into the woman laying on the ground and do vampiric touch, and then top of that, I do Channel of Divinity, which is 25 necrotic damage. On top of that, I use Necrotic Shout, which is another 10. So that's 35 necrotic damage, and
Hasn't even done the damage for the spell yet.
20.
Still only technically one failed death save. Oh, so is it melee? 'Cause it's not a melee, is it? So I'm pretty sure it's just one failed.
It is melee, which means it's a critical. Wait, is he doing it on the unconscious one or the?
Yeah, the unconscious woman that she wanted to save.
Yeah, Vampiric Touch is an attack roll, therefore it can crit, which means that the damage dice for the spell roll again, and while it might only be 2 failed death saving throws, if the total damage is more than her full HP, she's dead.
Yeah, it's not though, but we'll assume that it is. And so you eat the last of her life force, and her spell plague flares one last time, and you now carry both soul and infection. You monster, she says. You will pay for all eternity.
I just backhand her and said all you had to do was submit and say you.
He struggles against Sandra's telekinesis, but cannot break it.
Say it.
She refuses.
Can I begin exerting some of the 1,000-pound lift capacity I have as force, like on her?
Sure.
And squeeze?
Yeah, she refuses!
I'm not sure what you're so out there about, Aldrich. She's already admitted to being a false prophet. I mean, you heard her before, right, about how she'll see you in hell. If she's expecting her soul to go to hell, clearly she's turned a bit too far towards those Asmodean cultists.
What shall you do with her? To say she is at your mercy is an understatement.
Bring her with us while your spell is still going, Sanj, and we'll head to this treasury.
Yes, how do we open that door over there? Well, that grate, I suppose.
She doesn't answer your question. Wails in pain.
I cast Revivify on the dead woman.
Is there enough of her left?
Dead.
Alright.
What a waste of diamonds.
She returns from the dead.
I'm rich.
Message.
I say,
I think he's trying to make a point.
I will kill her again and again until you submit. Now say you are a false prophet and tell us everything we need to know.
This time you have advantage on the intimidate check.
I wish I specialized in charisma.
She is defiant. Do it, Shiner, do it. Her friend says as the spell plague flares again on her tattoo. I submit to your authority. The temple is yours.
Very well, and then I put shackles onto her friend, and I guess we're going this way, right? The right.
Yeah.
I'll bring her along 15 feet above me.
All right.
I shall tug on the lever next to the portcullis.
You raise the portcullis. There is a 40-foot drop between the floor and where you are. An oblette. An oblette is a dungeon from which there is no escape, or only one escape, and that is the one that you come. Traditionally, when you go in oblettes, you don't come out again.
Can we
Is it just a
disable
sheer
the-
drop?
It's just a sheer drop. That's right.
Can we disable the lever?
Yeah, you'd be able to with a like a sleight of hand check or something.
Just one important thing I forgot. Before
Yeah.
my animate objects runs out, I'm going to get the statue to make a Beyonce Knowles X gonna give it to you pose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can. I think I might be able to make a thieves' tools check. Oh, you can do it. It's fine.
Done.
That's a pretty good roll.
So you've bent the mechanics now so that it's either in the open or shut position permanently, depending on what you prefer.
I want it to be open permanently.
Excellent. This will never close again, at least not until someone repairs it. 40-foot drop, bloodstains on the ground. Looks like they push people off here from time to time.
That's nice.
I climb down.
Easy for you. You smell something, Ariok. You might have thought that smell of feline that you smelled earlier was due to the leopard. Perhaps it was. But it smells strongly of big cat down here.
I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
I turn to look up at the High Priestess and, looking at the situation ahead of us. Can I just ask, what's down here? Any foul, twisted creatures under your service?
Everything that is down there belongs to him now.
And whatever
you hear a growl come from around the corner, and there is a flash as if someone flares a torch or a lantern.
Hops 40 feet into the pit.
Keviak lowers himself down on his boots.
Yeah, I'll get her to 10 feet above the ground below, and then just drop her because it can't go out to. Just drop her on the floor and make my way down myself.
Lucius is going to pull out that instrument of the bards he's got and kind of twing, twing, twing to cast fly.
I guess I'll stay back here, guys.
Do you need help coming down?
Yeah.
Make your check, Lucius. See if you take psychic damage.
I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
I'll not grab the ex High Priestess immediately, and instead lift both Kaisia and Bjorn down with us.
What's a polar bear floating through the air look like?
When you hold a dog above water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That video.
It's looking around. It's not happy. It's not happy at all. This is not natural. You hear a roar.
Carrying the prisoner around.
You got the prisoner?
I was asking that. Do we want Keviak to cart the prisoner around? Because he's probably more suited to that than most.
Alright, just don't break her.
We got two of them.
I make no promises.
Her and her friend.
You hear a roar, followed by another roar, followed by a bleat, and something's a little bit too familiar as a chimera steps around the corner aggressively.
Oh, not another one.
We would roll for initiative, but we're out of time.
Nice.
Very good. Sorry I was late today, guys. Shame I missed out the first little bit there.
No problem.
No worries. It was a lot of nothing.
Yeah, just political drabble. But still.
Yeah. Glad you can make it. Oh, I just something came to mind that I wanted to clear up just because it seems a little broken. Those enchanted bolts you gave me with the fireball enchantment on them. Is that the same damage as a 3rd level fireball spell?
Yes, it is. Yep.
I'm just putting that there so I remember what I'm doing at the start of next session.
It's yeah, like as if you were